If you've ever spent the weekend grateful for those that have and are still serving, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It's going to be Tuesday, May 27th, a synthetic Monday because we actually have a 4-day week here today. Had some news over the weekend. Who's surprised about that? Who's surprised about some of the tariff talk back and forth over the weekend? We're going to break it down. We're going to get you all set here for the market today and the truncated week ahead. It is a T3 Tuesday, so we'll be going ahead and doing that. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Tuesday, May 27th, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces, and I hope that you all had a wonderful extended holiday weekend. As mentioned in the opener, they're grateful for all those that serve and have served in the past. Thank you. Had a great weekend. Had some news break over the weekend, and that is affecting the market here today. Let's go ahead and say good morning. Crimp Biscuit checking in early here. Absolutely love it. Good morning. Pete locked in as always. Love it. Good morning. Couch Potato locked in. Charles, good morning. Corweave, I told Rodrigo you guys were the best part of Benzinga universe. Yo, let's go, Charles. What did Rodrigo say? Did he agree with you? He better have. He better have. We'll go ahead and take a look at CoreWeave here today. Actually, it's one of the stocks that I did want to take a look at. Really, the question comes down to, do we keep bouncing or do we keep retracing? I'd like to get the opinion of the group here because I'm sure that will be a trade coming ahead here. Yassine, good morning. Welcome back. Tanya, good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, welcome. Good morning. Ivan, good morning. Bill Seeley 4. SPY up or down? SPY's up here today. Wouldn't be surprised if we test 593 to 595, but we're going to break that SPY chart down here in a sec, Bill. Good morning. Great to see you. Jim, happy Tuesday to all. Not expecting much today. We'll see, Jim. The news flow wasn't crazy on some individual names here. That can always change, though. We'll go ahead and break it down like a fraction for you. Chuck, good morning. Rickster, good morning. Drew, good morning. Big Abese, great to see you again, as always. Good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Good to see you again as well. Yeah, so fine. Always so fine. Good morning, my man. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Brett, good morning. Whis, good morning. Producer locked in. Harley, good morning. Blazed Rhino, good morning. Aries Stock Market, good morning. Jonathan, Gary, Ezra, good morning. Sean, Bernhard, Philip, Jonathan, good morning. Russ is locked in, which means we're ready to go. Good morning. Ambience, I like that name. Good morning. Vishnu Vardhan. Hopefully I got that correct. Good morning. Welcome. Terlingua. Catherine Sibugi. Good morning. And Hunter. Good morning. Let's go ahead and dive right in here to the SPY. Boom. All right. So the boss was mad on Friday, right? We started the show here. We had 50% tariff threats on the EU. At this point, we know how to play these things because we've seen so much back and forth. Really shouldn't surprise anybody. We should come to expect the unexpected. JJ, it's great to see you. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Charles MD. Good morning. We should expect the unexpected, but human beings, generally speaking, don't like change, so they're going to freak out when they get things. Nonetheless, we had these 50% tariff threats on the EU on Friday. Market sold a little bit on that news, actually closed down despite trying to bounce. And then over the weekend, we got news that there was a great call. And it was a big, beautiful call and all of that. And the markets here are responding in kind. Obviously, markets closed yesterday in observance of Memorial Day, but we're carrying through here today. Green arrows across the board. S&P futures up 1.4% here this morning. Dow futures up 1.27% here this morning. And NASDAQ leading the way higher here, plus 1.53% here this morning. So what exactly happened? We're going to go ahead and break that down. Key levels that you need to look for. We already got asked, what is the SPY going to do today? I could consult the 8-ball, but the 8-ball might be on vacation. We'll see. My gut here My gut, just kind of looking at the chart and given the news here, is that we push up and define the top end of the range. So looking at the chart, if we're going to try and deduce where that is, I got to put this in here, 593, 594. Remember, the last time that we traded up here, 595 absolutely behaved as a key spot. It'll be interesting to see if we test that area again. By reversing at that spot, this gave us a very nice clean downtrend line that I would really like to see broken here if we're going to get any more upside. Unsure if that's going to happen. We may at least test that trend line here today. So my thought is that we probably trade up more out of the open, another leg up here, and we test one of these areas for to see if we can get through it. Test one of these resistance areas, excuse me. That would be my best guess. So you let me know if you think that's even possible. But that's what I would say here. Now, if we reverse, right, if we sell right out of the open here, which I don't see that happening, I think we could really make a nasty move down. The other thing is if we like reverse midday, if we get some really bad news, and we kind of turn over midday here, this 582.30 level is absolutely going to come into play. And then also the 200-day. You'll also notice that given this, it's almost like the administration looks at charts and they're like, we're going to say something that are going to make people upset. And we're going to bring the market down to a current level. And then we're going to say something positive. And we're going to bounce it from that level. Now, of course, I don't actually think that's happening, but it sure kind of feels like that. We came right into this 200-day. And actually, this 200 was stacked with the 100 and the 20 just beneath it. We bounced pretty clean off of that. So the next thing that I'm trying to figure out here, where are we going to go next? Because the other thing now is that if we go from the Liberation Day lows and we kind of draw like right here, look at that as far as a trend line. All right, this looks pretty, I'm going to try to even it with this line right here. This looks pretty good, right? We tested it here. We rolled over, didn't quite test it here and here, but then we tested it again here. We'll see. We'll see where the SPY goes here. I got to think that we're going to try and test that upper boundary here today, but the market didn't ask me for my opinion, so I can't tell you for sure. This is kind of what I'm looking at. Now, let's take a look at some of the news, then we'll break down some of those individual names. I think I missed some more folks here that have been trickling in, so it's time to acknowledge them. Fairchild, good morning. How are you? How's the weather up there in Wisconsin? Actually just played golf with somebody who lives in Wisconsin, and we talked about maybe making a trip up there this summer. Great to see you again. A1, good morning. Mama Bear, locked in. Let's go. Tyler, Buffalo by Bicycle, and Ed, welcome back. Ivan, Allsorts, welcome back. Okay. And then SR back. Day trader, how many times do you have to see something before you believe it's not a coincidence? We should be in the business of recognizing patterns, because if we can do that effectively, we can trade that effectively. We can make some money. Good morning, Hellcat. It's great to see you. Okay, let's break down what is going on. Trump agrees to delay 50% tariffs on Europe until July 9th. Quote, it was my privilege to do so. End quote. Donald Trump announced on Sunday that he received a call from Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, requesting an extension of the impending 50% tariff deadline. The original deadline was set for June 1st, but Trump has agreed to extend it to July 9th. Here's what happened. Trump stated on Truth Social that the commission president assured him that negotiations would commence swiftly. Trump expressed his willingness to grant the extension, describing it as his privilege to do so. This comes amid heightening tensions over trade between the U.S. and the European Union. His tweet here is in the story. My producer might be tied up this morning, so I will go ahead and give you those links if you want any of them. Tweets are in here. Von der Leyen said on X that she had, quote, a good call with Trump, end quote. The EU and the U.S. share the world's most consequential and close trade relationship, end quote. She had requested time until July 9th to reach a good deal. Here is her tweet. So this really should just kind of confirm the fact that the whole tariff plan here is to get the ball rolling and finalize new trade deals. It doesn't matter if it's with China or it's with the EU. I don't think that this threat to put 50% tariffs on the EU I think this was just solely designed to get something moving here. I'm sure there's a bunch of talks going on in the back channels that we are unaware of. And I'm sure when the U.S. side needs a kick in the pants, they are able to do that, or they're able to kick up this rhetoric to do that. Now, the market responds to all of this, as we've seen, and we might be getting our update here today. Trump's decision to extend the deadline follows his previous threat to impose a 50% tariff on all European Union imports, a move that has already caused significant concern in European markets. On Friday, European stocks experienced a broad sell-off as fears of a potential trade war loomed. Trump has criticized the EU for what he perceives as an unfair trade practices, including powerful trade barriers and ridiculous corporate penalties. The extension of the tariff deadline is significant as it provides a temporary reprieve to European markets, which have been under pressure due to the looming threat of increased tariffs. The potential 50% tariff on the EU imports has raised concerns about a transatlantic trade war, which could have far-reaching implications for global economic growth. Furthermore, the tariff uncertainty continues to impact the U.S. markets, with the S&P 500 facing renewed risks. Trump's trade policies have been a source of volatility for Wall Street, and the extension may offer temporary relief, but does not eliminate the underlying risks associated with the ongoing trade spat. Now, that's important because this volatility has given us, when I say us, I mean us as active traders, opportunities to really capitalize on that. And so there are a couple of key things here that I think we should take away from the entire thing. First of all, the news can change just as easily as the wind changes the direction it's blowing. And we've seen that here before. As Day Trader was saying earlier, I'm not sure exactly what you were referencing in here, but we should not be surprised about tariff threats and tweets of that nature. We should actually instead just be ready to take advantage of that, to be quite honest with you. The other takeaway here is that the United States clearly has leverage, and they are using it, and arguably for the first time in a long time. Now, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this. I wish I could tell you with full confidence that I know what's going to happen at the end of this. But in the meantime, that's what's going on here, and it's going to give us opportunity. We are still at the beginning of this. We have no official deal done, and we are going to see a number of headlines that are going to cause the market both to move up and down. As traders, it's going to be important that we're ready for that. All right, let's keep talking about some of the news here. We are going to get back to some of the charts, and I'd love to hear what stocks you folks want to take a look at. Some more folks filing in here. Absolutely love it. Lion, good morning. A1, good morning. Captain Cloudy, good morning. Great to see y'all, folks. Okay, let's go ahead here. Oops. Here we go. Let's share the right tab. There we go. All right, 10-year yield tops 4.55% despite Trump's EU tariff day deal. So this is a little bit of an older story here. Again, just kind of wanted to emphasize what was going on here. The bond market clearly is what's being looked at here, and being responded to. Well, this happened. Again, this was from, so this was actually from yesterday. So this is kind of summarizing what happened over the weekend. The 10-year treasury yield climbed to 4.55%. It's actually lower than that. In fact, all of the yields are lower here today, paving the way for stocks higher. On Monday, as the bond market remained under pressure, despite Trump's decision to delay 50% European Union tariffs until July 9th. We just talked about that. I wanted to get some of the quotes in here. The 10-year yield's persistence at elevated levels signals a fundamental shift in financial markets, according to Wall Street Journal analysts, Greg Ip. The era of abundant savings pursing scarce bond has ended, leading to higher borrowing costs globally. Boy, that was a tough quote to get through. Sorry about that. U.S. deficits represent the primary driver behind the bond market turmoil. Annual deficits are projected to exceed $2 trillion, potentially reaching $3 trillion. The federal deficit surpassed 6% of gross domestic product last year and is expected to remain above 7% for a decade under the House Republican budget plan. We talked a little bit about Moody's last week. Nothing new there. The term premium on 10-year bonds has surged from negative territory since October of 2024, indicating investors demand higher returns for holding long-duration debt. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent defended the administration's approach, stating, "We can both grow the economy and control the debt by ensuring growth outpaces debt accumulation." ARK Invest Kathy Wood endorsed Trump's policies as, quote, Reaganomics on steroids. I'm sure that doesn't rub, or that rubs some people the wrong way. Okay, that does that. I do want to talk really quickly about this next story here that has to do with Oracle and NVIDIA. How much time do we have? Oh, we got plenty of time. But before we do that, I want to start with the charts here. The big story is obviously going to be NVIDIA. They report earnings here tomorrow. Let me extend my channel here a little bit. There we go. There we go. NVIDIA reports earnings tomorrow after hours. This is without a doubt going to be the biggest event this week here. I guess I should take a sec here. Tuesday, today, we've got durable goods at 8:30, the house price index at 9, and the CB consumer confidence at 10. Tomorrow, we're going to get Richmond Fed data as well as the FOMC minutes. That happens at about 2 p.m. Eastern. And then, as mentioned, we're going to have NVIDIA in the after hours reporting its earnings. On Thursday, we get the jobless claims. We also have Fed Barkin speaking. We have pending home sales, Goolsby, Kugler, and Daly also speaking in the afternoon. So Thursday is going to have a bunch of Fed heads talking. And then on Friday, we get PCE data and that Michigan consumer sentiment print. And we wrap up the week with Fed Bostic about midday, about 12:20 there, Eastern time. Now, looking at NVIDIA, here's where we currently sit. So we're still down from all-time highs. We did recently break out of the downtrend that has been very, very well-defined. And we started to roll back over to test the 200-day, but we never really got back down there. So starting to roll over towards it, never really got back down there. Today, up by about 2.5% here. So the big thing is that, first of all, we held this area, but let's call it 130. Sounds about right. It might be a little bit lower than that, but let's call this 130 hold. Now it does look like we're moving up towards the volume point of control as well as the 141 breakout level. This level we actually traded, but we consolidated. It looked like we were going to break out from this. This was back at the end of the year, wasn't it? Excuse me, the beginning of this year. We looked like we were going to break out from this level, and then we resumed this downtrend. We've used this level as resistance. I expect the exact same thing here again. So my gut would be 134.5 here on NVIDIA. If we see any more positive movement, that 141 area absolutely looks like resistance. The earnings print tomorrow could be huge because if we pop through that, and I believe that the options are pricing, let me see what we got here. Options are pricing in nearly a $9 move here on NVIDIA. So even if we moved right from here to the upside on that $9 move, we would be clear above that 141 resistance level. I do really think that's going to come into play. Got a pretty significant volume shelf up there as well. We'll see if we can get above that. If we do get above that on this earnings print, I would expect that to act as support, and I would expect some good news ahead on NVIDIA. Now, if we lose that level, I think that the next test here, without a doubt, is going to be the 126 test. That's going to be a 200-day moving average test. We might even break right through that, depending on where NVIDIA finishes up, especially if the stock pulls considerably. But this area is going to be what I'm watching, and it's also worth noting that several points under that, about 4 points under the 200-day, we also have the 100-day, and in between that, we have the 20-day. So some pretty decent areas or support areas to catch this stock if it does fall. My gut tells me that this puts up a good number and trades higher. We'll see if that is what materializes here, but that's what my gut tells me, and I'm interested to see what the options flow tells me here today about NVIDIA. The other stock that we're going to talk about here in the story is going to be Oracle. Here's a look at Oracle's chart. We had a move off of a double bottom recently at 122. This was a really, really strong support area that proved to be actually a great buy. We recaptured the 500 and accelerated the run to the upside, but we stalled here at the 200-day. I've got the 200-day here at 161 and change. Current price for Oracle here in the pre-market, 1 58.87. So we're about right here. We're just right under it. I expect this to get tested here today. I would not be shocked if Oracle, tests that 200-day and perhaps even moves above it. Would love to start getting a close above it. 3 closes above that. We might be able to start taking a look at some of these other areas in here, 182, 192, and then your all-time high at 198-ish. What is this exact number here? Let's see if I can actually get that for you. Exact number here, 198.31. So those are some of your upside targets for Oracle. We'll see what happens. Here's the story. Let's dive right in. Oracle to spend $40 billion on NVIDIA's GB200 chips for OpenAI's Texas data center. Oracle reportedly plans to spend approximately $40 billion to purchase 400,000 NVIDIA chips to power a new massive data center for OpenAI in Abilene, Texas. The site is part of Stargate, a $500 billion AI infrastructure project spearheaded by OpenAI and SoftBank. Once completed, the facility will deliver 1.2 gigawatts, not gigawatts, for you Back to the Future fans. 1.2 gigawatts of power, making it one of the largest AI data centers globally, according to a report by the Financial Times, citing several people familiar with the matter. Oracle will lease the site for 15 years and provide compute capacity to OpenAI, which no longer relies exclusively on Microsoft for infrastructure support. The Texas facility is being developed by Crusoe and Blue Owl Capital, with more than $15 billion in debt and equity raised, including a total of $9.6 billion loan from JP Morgan. Construction began in June of 2024. The center is expected to be fully operational by mid-2026. Once finished, its scale will be comparable to Elon Musk's proposed expansion of his Colossus data center in Memphis, Tennessee, which aims to accommodate around 1 million NVIDIA chips. Previously, OpenAI relied heavily on Microsoft Azure cloud platform. However, earlier this year, the two companies agreed that they will end their exclusivity deal after OpenAI's compute needs began to outpace Microsoft's capacity. Yikes. Earlier this week, it was also reported that OpenAI is acquiring Jony Ive's AI device startup IO Products in a $6.5 billion all-stock deal. Ive, known for designing the iPhone and other iconic Apple products, will join forces with OpenAI to develop AI hardware. Any of you AI bugs into this at all? Is this a big piece of news, or is this just much ado about nothing? Be curious to know what you folks think about that. And again, does this give a trade in Oracle? I think is the next question here also. Yassine saying NVIDIA after earnings trading has been flat for a year. What's the options for earnings? So we'll see what happened. Like I said, as of this morning, market maker pricing in an 8.71. Let's see if I can actually change that to the close one here. Yeah, $8.71 move, Yassine. And you're right, the option sellers have really had some better trades. I still have a gut feeling that this is going to trade higher, though. Day Trader said, I watched a video on the Abilene project. It looks like it started in June of 2024. I'm long Blue Owl Capital also, which is ticker OWL. Okay, interesting. So let's go back to the chart here real quick. Day Trader, we'll take a very quick detour, if you will. That's good stuff here. Here is the ticker mentioned in that, Blue Owl Capital, ticker OWL. So actually, here's your chart. We had this the fall last year after the election move. This really moved higher. It's kind of just moved with the market, didn't it? And it came right back to a pretty decent consolidation area. This doesn't look like a terrible spot here, especially as long as it holds the 500. Day Trader, I'm curious to know what your time horizon on this is. This isn't bad. I actually don't trade this stock at all, but that would be something that I might look into. Nice little trend line that we got going on. Owl finances data centers among business development deals. This actually should be involved in a lot of stuff going on right now. Good stuff. Good shout out. It's a longer term hold for me. Okay, so this is more of an investment. You have a nice long time horizon on this. Does look like it pays a little bit of a dividend here, so you're gonna get paid to hold it as well. Not bad. I like this. I like this. Philip is saying, someone explain to me why quantum is still up so much. I struggle to find the catalyst. Well, quantum floats around the news. It's got people on both sides of the issue right now, to be quite honest with you. You got famous talking heads saying, famous, maybe that's the wrong word. You have talking heads saying that it's nowhere near ready. And then you've got other people at the company saying, hey, we're doing really good right now. Check out our earnings. So that back and forth is what makes a market. And that's why I have some of this. To be honest with you, Philip, I expected them to pull back a little bit more, but we'll see how today shakes out. The other thing to remember there is that my last trade on quantum was no good. I tried to short QBTS, and those puts got absolutely obliterated. So take that with a grain of salt. Anyway, nice little detour here. Day trader. Appreciate you mentioning this. That's awesome. Good morning, Kevin. It's great to see you again. Cinderella, good morning, says hype. I agree, especially with the quantum stuff. And Zach, good morning. It's great to see you again as well. Okay, let's see. We've got a couple of minutes here before the T3 Tuesday. Let's dive right in. Let's actually talk a little bit about those NVIDIA earnings. NVIDIA on deck. Can the AI darling beat the street's high bar amid the China headwinds? I know that's the big question for everybody here. All eyes will be on NVIDIA this Wednesday after the market close, with Wall Street intensely focused on whether the AI chip giant can justify its rise amid rising geopolitical and regulatory headwinds, especially from President Trump's recent China tariff and restrictions. The fiscal quarter ending April 30th analysts expect earnings per share of 88 cents, a 43% increase from the prior year. Revenue is projected at $43.4 billion, up 65% from a year ago, a staggering figure that reflects sustained demand for NVIDIA's AI accelerators and data center products. Yet not all is rosy under the surface. Bank of America analyst Vivek Arya sees potential cracks forming beneath the headline numbers. Here we go. Quote, we look for modest Q1 beat versus the $43 billion guide in a consensus 43.4, Arya said in a recent note. Yet the expert warned NVIDIA's gross margins could fall sharply due to a $5.5 billion inventory write-off tied to the U.S. government restriction on high-end H20 chips sold to China. That could drag gross margins from the guided 71% to just 58%, pushing pro forma EPS closer to 0.74, nearly 16% below consensus. Got another story here about some other chips that they're selling to China. We'll see if that makes up for it at all. But Vivek Arya here giving you a headwind or a potential headwind to take a look at. How bad could that guidance get? Well, aside from the first quarter figures, the real market moving factor will be NVIDIA's second quarter outlook. This has really been the case for all of the tech stocks, or all of the stocks that are reporting. The guide has been far more important than the previous quarter print. Analyst consensus has already pulled Q2 revenue forecast down to $46.4 billion from $48 billion before the H20 ban, but Arya said this may be still too optimistic, applying a similar 47% hit seen by competitor Advanced Micro Devices from China's chip restrictions. Arya believes NVIDIA's guidance could drop as low as $41 billion, a figure that would shock investors and imply a pro forma EPS of just 85 cents. The long-term impact of the H20 ban may be seen as more severe. NVIDIA itself has disclosed that restrictions could reduce fiscal 2026 sales by $15 billion, far higher than the $3.8 billion consensus expectation and even Bank of America's prior $12 billion estimate. In this scenario, if this scenario plays out, EPS could fall to $3.93 for full year 26, 10% below the current consensus of 4.38 and 14% below the pre-ban forecast of 4.56. Despite the looming risks, Bank of America maintains a buy rating on NVIDIA with a 12-month 160 price objective, suggesting 22% upside from current levels. So we'll see. Really quickly, that other story here. After Jensen Huang criticized the U.S. export curbs, NVIDIA is set to launch a cheaper Blackwell AI chip for China amid market share slide. Remember, 13 and I have been trying to clue you into some of the other quality and control things that are going on in NVIDIA that are affecting the graphics cards. Yet to be seen if this is actually going to affect the AI chips or how badly it's going to affect the AI chips. I think this is definitely something that we're waiting for. Waiting to see exactly how bad it is. Anyway, NVIDIA will launch a significantly cheaper artificial intelligence chip for China's market, priced between $6,500 and $8,000, as the company adapts to ongoing U.S. export restrictions that have decimated its Chinese market share. The new graphics processing unit, based on NVIDIA's latest Blackwell architecture, represents a dramatic price reduction from the company's recently banned H20 model, which sold for $10,000 to $12,000. Mass production could begin as early as June, Reuters reported, citing some sources. The lowering pricing reflects weaker specifications and simplified manufacturing requirements. The chip will utilize NVIDIA's RTX Pro 6000D server class processor with conventional GDDR7 memory rather than the advanced high bandwidth memory. It'd be interesting to see how the computations change using this chip versus the previous one. Notably, it will not require TMC, Taiwan Semiconductor's advanced chip on wafer on substrate packaging technology. This is going to be one of the big things that should actually free up TSM for meeting its other demand. Quote, until we settle on a new product design and receive approval from the U.S. government, we are effectively foreclosed from China's $50 billion data center market, NVIDIA spokesperson stated. China remains critical for NVIDIA, accounting for 13% of the sales in the past financial year. However, the company's Chinese market share has plummeted from 95% before 2022 to 50% currently. CEO Jensen Huang revealed last week. The H20 ban in April forced NVIDIA to write off a $5.5 billion in inventory and abandon approximately $15 billion in sales. NVIDIA faces intensifying competition from Huawei, the Ascend 910B chip. Semiconductor expert Nori Chow, I hope I pronounced that name correctly, from White Oak Capital Partners, expects domestic Chinese technologies to match downgraded chip performance within 1 to 2 years, though NVIDIA maintains advantages through its CUDA programming platform integration. NVIDIA's stock closed at 131 on Friday. Still actually has pretty good metrics here in the Benzinga proprietary ranking and trend system. Really, the only one that it doesn't score highly on is value. That should not come as a surprise to anybody, given the move that it's been on. So there you go. That's currently what's going on with NVIDIA there. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Ryan, good morning. It's great to see you. Happy Monday. Cinderella, we said good morning to you. Joe, good morning. C.A. Forsman, good morning. Jane, good morning. It's great to see you again as well. And yes, Jonathan, DJT is moving. That's going to be on one of our movers here. Let me just send out, hang on one sec here. Just check something real quick. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me keep moving here. I do really quickly want to talk about Apple. And then we can get to some of the other stocks that you want. And T3, we're still expecting T3 here today. Brian, good morning. It's great to see you again as well. Welcome back, buddy. Okay. Apple. Let's talk about Apple real quick. And you know what? Let's actually go to the chart here first on Apple. I know it was sub 200. Are we still sub 200 this morning? Yes, still sub 200 this morning. This actually looked like this is rolling off, but this did come to a support area. And I'm wondering if we get a little bit of a pop back here towards that 50. So what I'm looking for here is, first of all, Apple really did kind of hold in here. This support level held so far. We're up 1.8% here today. I know there's a lot of news that's involving Apple right now that's kind of dragging it down. Part of me wants to see if we can reclaim the 500 on a move back towards that 50. I don't know if we get it all done here today, but that'd be pretty sweet. We'd actually fill this gap if we did that as well. Something else to keep in mind. We do have the 50 kind of bearing down here, and we're a ways away from the volume point of control up here at 226. So there's definitely some room if Apple can catch a bid. We'll see if it ends up doing that. RSI is kind of in no man's land right here. MACD is kind of in no man's land. here as well. Let's take a quick look at the story. Apple would rather absorb a 25% iPhone tariff than move production to the U.S. That comes from an analyst. Quote, no guarantee they won't face repeated tariff threats during his term. Again, we'll talk about some of that here. On Friday, President Trump demanded Apple manufacture iPhones in the U.S. domestically or face 25% tariff. Now, top Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo said that the company is unlikely to move its assembly lines back to the U.S. even under political pressure. In terms of profitability, it's way better for Apple to take a hit of a 25% tariff on iPhones sold in the U.S. market rather than move the iPhone assembly back to the U.S. This back and forth here, I think that this is going to have a little bit more legs. Again, this really all comes down to negotiating and tactics and such. And I would imagine that is going to continue here. My gut tells me that no one's going to be eating a 25% tariff at any point when this is all finalized. But I've been wrong before. We'll see. Trump's comments came in response to Apple's growing investment in India, where key supplier Foxconn is building a $1.5 billion display module plant near Chennai. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Trump criticized Apple for shifting production to India and warned CEO Tim Cook that iPhones sold in the U.S. should be, quote, manufactured and built, end quote, domestically. I know this is a favorite plan amongst folks in the group here. Wink, wink. Who called the threat more political than economic? Okay, at least we've got one cooler head in here. The specific tariff percentage Trump proposes on iPhones isn't the main concern, he said. Quote, the bigger issue is that Trump's second recent pointed comment targeting Apple, a warning sign that Apple can't ignore. And I think this is the big takeaway here. Whatever the number is, whatever the threat is, those are largely going to be less significant. The fact that he's really kind of poking and prodding Apple here is the big takeaway. We saw on the last trip to the Middle East, he said, yeah, it's awesome that Jensen's here, but Tim's nowhere to be found. And again, I think that this really just comes down to there's more back channel stuff here than we know about. There might also be more goals here, not only from just Trump's team, but maybe even from Apple as well. I suspect that this is Apple is the strongest company in the world, or one of them. And I would imagine that this is all going to shake out and be fine in the long run. In the meantime, though, we're going to have a lot of this headline back and forth. That should actually give us an opportunity. Nonetheless, he added that even if Apple negotiates a temporary reprieve, the risks won't disappear. And that's the thing. Like you say, okay, well, we're going to take this 25% hit. What's to say that next week Trump says, okay, well, we're going to raise that to 45%. Now, all of a sudden, that math is totally thrown off. So I think that there's a larger plan here. I don't think, despite the analyst napkin math, I don't think that this is the full plan here. And I don't fault the analyst for that. They're just working off the information that they have. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad call or anything like that. Quote, moving all iPhone assembly for U.S. models back to the U.S. before Trump's term ends is unrealistic. This is something our chat has discussed quite a bit. And Trump also opposes Apple producing iPhones made in India. Quote, even if Apple secures a temporary deal with Trump to avoid iPhone tariffs this time, there's no guarantee that they won't face repeated tariff threats during his term, which is, again, why I think this whole thing is going to get worked out before we even go down that path. And then here's some more tweets for it. Let me give you this article just in case you want to go into it. I don't necessarily want to spend all of the time reading all of those tweets. Zach here saying it's a security play, in my opinion. Zach, I think there's definitely some truth to that. Now, I don't know about how making all iPhones that are designed for U.S. consumption in the U.S. We'll see. I think that you're right here. I think there's some underlying security concerns, but I still think there are other things that can be done to kind of get around that. Nonetheless, pretty good point. Anyway, quote, I said, Tim, look, we treated you really good. We put up with all the plants you built in China for years. Now you got it. to build for us. We're not interested in you building in India. India can take care of themselves. We want you to build here, end quote. That was a Trump quote, if I did not put enough impression on it. Following this, Indian sources stated that Apple has reiterated its commitment to India as a major manufacturing center, highlighting that there has been, quote, no change in the company's investment strategy. The other thing that we've been hearing recently is that there is a deal very, very close with India. My thought on the whole deal talk is really the same at this point. Deals being close are the same as no deal, frankly. It's great if we keep getting headlines out that, sure, the market might react to that, but we're at the stage now where we really want to see some of these finalized and see what they look like. I think the market would love that, especially if they are actually good for the United States long term. Again, the talk about them being real close, okay. If you're going to play that based on what we're seeing, just understand what you're getting into there. We would like to start seeing some finalized deals here. At least I would on my end. We'll see how the market ends up taking that. Okay. I still don't have T3 here. I'll have someone check in real quick. It is the day after a holiday, so sometimes that happens. And I don't think I have any emails here. Nope. All right. I'll have my producers help me out there. Let me go through some of the comments here from you guys. Appreciate this. Let me actually go back to Pro here. We'll go to the Apple chart. Let me go through some of the comments here. Cinderella says, Timmy has no backbone and everyone knows it. I will say Cook's done a good job in terms of like the financial position of Apple throughout his term. I don't know anything about his backbone. I will say, though, that the innovation angle is lacking. And I think that you actually might get some pretty good stock response if we're able to maybe get an executive in there or replace an executive with someone that the street likes. That's also something else that we could see down the road here. Day trader, I agree. Apple will wait this out rather than build here. They're way too cheap to build in the US, except for that high-end computer. I would agree with that, day trader. That seems spot on to me, to be honest. CA Forsman, a minor reduction in durable goods in April. Market didn't really react. You are a humongous assist here, and you're covering the data print at 8:30, the durable goods data print that I ran right over. Chris, what will we do without you here? Here is your print. Durable goods order month over month for April, minus 6.3 versus the minus 7.6 estimate. So that was actually a little light there. You're right. The market's not really reacting to that. It is drifting a little bit lower here, but it doesn't seem to be on the back of that. Core durable goods orders month over month for April, 0.2 in the positive versus a 1/10 estimate to the downside. So that reading coming in a little bit better there as well. I would agree with you, Chris. I don't think the market is really responding to this a whole lot here today. Okay, what else do we got here? Steve Leesman says, perhaps this is the beginning of the effect of tariffs. Pretty easy to speculate that. Need more data. Well, you know what? Let's keep speculating that. We've got a lot of folks doing that here in this chat as well. We might as well get all of the other opinions in there. In addition to that, let's see. Appreciate you, producer, for actually posting those. Quantum says Apple will just promise to the president to open up a factory in the U.S. while waiting out his term, then cancel said promise. We'll see if that ends up shaking out. Good morning, Bilal. It's great to see you. Crimp Biscuit says many seem to think smartphones are on the way out. So are they going to get replaced with a wearable like glasses or a watch or something like that? I'll be honest, even if I had really good wearables like glasses or watches, it certainly wouldn't replace my phone. Cinderella says Nokia and Motorola can swoop in and grab market share as people are ready for the little bubble keyboard and flip phone that isn't a supercomputer. So interesting. You're almost saying that if there was like a hardware keyboard phone made by Motorola or Nokia, they might be able to soak up market share. That is an interesting thesis. I think that's kind of in the minority, but interesting nonetheless. I'll tell you, I don't I would never go back. To me, the current smartphone design, easy for me to say. The current smartphone design is the best. I do actually like the screen, and I've got like big mitts. I don't seem to have a problem with that. Mike's asking, Trump said we aren't interested in manufacturing socks and shoes in the U.S. Any way to play that, in your opinion? I'm not sure how it would play exactly that angle. What he's saying makes a lot of sense there. No, I'll think about that. That would be like old school manufacturing, right? Like textile type manufacturing. I'll think about that. This is a good question here, Mike. I'm not actually sure how to play that. Day Trader says, I don't think smartphones are going anywhere for the next 10 years. Yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. Computers, chips, all of that stuff is proliferating. AI, with AI being as like big as it is and as talked about, you're talking about a device that literally is the gateway for human beings to get to the internet wherever they are. Yeah, I don't think these are going anywhere anytime soon. Nobody is downgrading from full screen smartphones. And this is kind of the way I feel. I will say that the hardware keyboard group that's out there, they are ferocious. They speak very, very highly about that. They share nostalgic memories back in the day when BlackBerry was the dominant phone carrier. But at the end of the day, I got to agree with you. The other perhaps more important thing here, forget my own opinion, I don't think you're going to see a meaningful move that's going to cause you to trade the stock any differently. And I'm saying I don't necessarily think there's any other. I don't think that there's going to be some unforeseen stock that's going to have this phone that's kind of a step back. That just doesn't. I don't think so. I don't think so. Jane saying, wonder if one day you'll just wear an implantable chip and your brain will trigger the info calls. So you're not the only person suggesting this. This gets talked about quite a bit. If you think that this is all sci-fi, hogwash, BS, I would encourage you to listen to some of the Joe Rogan podcasts where they actually interview the Neuralink guy. And they talk about what it's like having a chip embedded in you that allows you to assist with your daily function, not just video games. But everything else. Jane, I think this is the way that we're going. I'll say this. I have not come across a bull case yet where I've said, you know what? Let's embed that chip in my body. Let's do that. That sounds like a good idea. Let's embed a chip somewhere in my body, brain, head. Nope, I'm good. I'm good on this. I'll keep using a device. I think this right here, Jane, this is the line. I'm a technology guy. I like being on the bleeding edge in a lot of cases, but this, we might have found the line. I don't think I'm implanting stuff in my body. Good morning, Brandy. I like the new Galaxy S25. So do I. It's awesome. It's what I got. I absolutely love it. Steven once said, good for Nike. You know what? I don't know. I think that was the comment about making socks and shirts in the US. You were asking if that was good for Nike, and I'm just catching up to it. I don't know for sure, but nonetheless, why don't I add Nike's chart to the list here? And we'll take a look at that here together. Quantum Vortex says, if smartphones go away, what will people stare at in lieu of having conversations? Quantum, this is arguably one of the easiest questions that I've had to answer here today. They're going to stare at newspapers. And if you don't believe me, Google pictures from the 1920s and 30s when people were on public transportation. It's the exact same as now, except instead of looking at a screen and a phone, they're looking at a newspaper. It's literally exactly the same otherwise. Nobody's talking to each other. They're just simply reading. Okay. Hey, so Sean, so this is interesting. I have a brain implant from a combat injury. So first of all, Sean, thank you for your service, of course. And I have a brain implant from a combat injury. It's life-changing. So I'm actually interested in this. I'm interested in some of the specifics of this. Great. I would imagine that by you adding life-changing and then that many exclamation points, it's life-changing for the better. I do see this as a major market to hit. I guess I was more speaking about the voluntary thing, but we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. This is very interesting to hear. Okay. Real quick, sorry I ran over there. I will check in. We will also see if I can redo T3 if I hear what happened here today. In the meantime, we're going to talk to 13. We're going to see how his weekend was. 13, good morning. How you doing, man?
Oh, let's see. Is everything on? Are we good to go? Yes. All right. Yeah, I had a great weekend.
Like I was you this morning, I heard that there were storms in the Houston area.
There's always storms in the Houston area. we get plenty of water out here. I mean, we do have a drought in some areas, but we do get plenty of water. I had a wonderful Thanksgiving, or nothing. Memorial Day weekend. We had my wife's birthday and had a party for that. So a lot of great things there. Just a lot of fun. Nice reset. So I'm ready to have a nice short week. Got a big week with all the NVIDIA earnings and the PCE and GDP and all kinds of economic reports. It's going to be a fun week. I expect volatility.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, anytime you cram a full week into 4 days, you often create that impetus for a fun week. We'll see if we end up getting that here. Good morning to all of the other folks that are joining here. Ryan, anyone else, Serenity, Shayla Vega, Sergeant Sexy, anyone that I may have missed. Shayla Vega here. This might give you some goosebumps here. No need for brain chips. I thought you were going to say because we've got tortilla chips, but that's just because my mind's elsewhere. Frequencies have already exist that read thoughts. Quantum tech will make it so you just think, and it appears the CIA has been using this for years. So first of all, that type of stuff, generally pretty frightening. I will say that it might be time for me to go when people can just read thoughts all the time. Like if I'm just walking around and people are able to just read thoughts with anything, that might be time for me to go to the next life. We'll see, because sometimes I kick around thoughts in my head that I end up scrapping a couple of seconds later. I don't know if I want people reading those.
This is where comics are going to come into play, because if everybody's going to start, or if the CIA and other people are going to try to start Professor Xing you just get a Magneto helmet.
Professor X. If I have to wear the Magneto helmet the rest of my, oh man, now we're going down. Now we're going off the road here. Good morning, Peen. Good morning, Trout Bum. Trout, how was the weather in Missouri? My buddy went to Branson again, said the weather was not great. A lot of rain. Okay, 13, what do you want to do here first? You want to knock out some movers? You want to take a look at charts? CoreWeave and Nike are the only ones on here. Sean's asking about OKLO, which is up here this morning. I'll add that to the list as well. Where do you want to start, 13?
The movers list, I feel a little bit short today, so just go over the couple that I looked at. I think the one that we're going to probably be paying the most attention to is going to be SBET.
Okay.
This one, not even sure where it's going to end up going. Might go down, from here, but I mean, here's what's going on with this. This company, let me just pull this up. This company had I want to say almost nothing going on. Like there was nothing on the balance sheet. They had a little more than $1 million. They have literally no debt. I don't even know what their operations really were, because I could read the description, but I don't even know if they were really doing anything. But so you look at that. You look at their short interest, which is 71.5%. Until they did this offering. They had an offering last week. It was a $4.5 million public offering, so that pulled it down. That diluted the shares a bit.
At a recent 1-for-12 reverse on May 6th, that also might have affected the short interest there, but it's still elevated, to your point.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that offering they sold, because I don't know if it's that's reflected in the float yet. It's supposed to be for over 1.5 million shares, or up to that amount, and the float is still registering at 620K. So don't know how much of that got executed. But then you go on to today, and you see that there's a private placement, so no share dilution, for 425 million to adopt an Ethereum treasury strategy. So no share dilution, even though they're selling private placement shares. They're going to be having a lot of capital on the balance sheet all of a sudden. And with a 71% short interest, this thing went from, gosh, what, like just under $6, as high as over $34 this morning, $35.
Yeah, this thing closed at 672 last week. It's printing 22 and a half in the pre-market here today. We actually were over 30 earlier on a spike higher. Wild stuff.
Yeah, Zippity, it's my favorite holiday. So
I was going to say, so this is funny. Zippity, of course, said Thanksgiving already. Wowza, you must have just been catching 13's early Monday morning gaff, synthetic Monday.
yeah.
This is what I will say about that, though, 13. I've made that mistake plenty of times. You must have ate good this weekend, because if you accidentally called this weekend Thanksgiving, the food must have been primo.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay, anyway, back to SBET here. So we've got, let me just get this straight. We've got a cash infusion without dilution for the purpose of adding a crypto treasury strategy that is Ethereum based to the, okay. That seems like it is combining a number of different things that we see to make stocks run. Excuse me. On top of that, we still have the high short interest. And what did we say there for the float? I have a float reading here. So we have a small float as well, 620. So what do you think? Where do you think we're going here? I agree. This is probably going to be the big mover of the day, or it already has made a huge move here. What do you think? And we see later on throughout today?
I have a sense that because of the run it had in pre-market already, as soon as we open, we could see selling. But I'd let that initial selling get out of the way, and then once it starts to find a bottom, like a base, and begin to turn around, that's when I think there'll be some trades available. Yeah. The MACD is indicating that on the 5-minute is indicating that this is looking to trade lower. We do have half an hour before this market opens, so I think it'll be worth it to observe what ends up happening here going into that opening. If we do end up trading lower going into the open, that'll change my perception of how I want to approach it. We might end up seeing buying if we sell off in the pre-market into the open. So just some things to watch for. I wouldn't want to be taking a position yet, even though it does look like we are kind of compressing here to choose a direction. Let's just see what this ends up happening here, because if this is going to come right back in, I do not want anybody here getting hold with this bag.
Yeah, and the other thing here is that if this, trades up and then pulls immediately out of the open, it actually might trade better after that pull. Day trader here is saying, wow, an Ethereum-based strategy. Haven't seen that one in a while. They've all been Bitcoin, Sol, and Trump so far. So the Trump one, I think, is just a meme. But the Bitcoin Sol angle, that is interesting. You're absolutely right. We've seen more of that. Isn't Solana based on the Ethereum chain? How does this... I guess one of the things that I don't necessarily understand is what the different coin strategy does for the company. Day trader, maybe you can shed some light on that. I ask out of ignorance, not out of a trap or anything like that. Seriously, what would make it better or worse using Ethereum versus Solana versus Bitcoin, or something like that? No, Solana's its own chain. Okay. Solana's its own chain. So clearly I need to read up some more on crypto. Get in there, 13.
One thing I'm just kind of waiting for, and I don't know how well this trend line will work. I'm not even using that big impulse trend line on the 5-minute. I'm using the one after it, and the next high after that, which is about 835, to draw a trend line. And the price is trying to come up to that trend line right now. So we could end up getting a break to some back up into these 30 highs here pretty quick. If this continues to push up. So there's something that's happening here in the pre-market. I'm not taking a position in it. And if this starts to keep on going on a run, then I'm going to be definitely waiting for that open, because I think they will be selling if we continue to push up into the pre-market.
Yeah, and the other thing here, so I'm kind of emphasizing this. The other thing here is that 2150. I've got this marked at 2848, but let me correct that here for the sake of the example here. Okay, so here's the trend line that you have. Let's see if we break out of this. Real quick here, Solana is cheaper and faster to use than any of them. The fees vary widely. Okay, Cinderella says, read the white papers. Most are hilarious. Someone actually gave me a great site for white papers and I did not take advantage of it. I should go back and do that. Solana is cheaper and faster than Bitcoin and Ethereum, so that would be why you use that one. Solana is about to update to increase its throughput. Rumors are NASDAQ will go to Solana. Interesting.
Yeah, sideshow. Right as I say it, it crossed right up over 25, and here we go. We're up to 27, 28. Geez, this thing is already making me nervous, and I'm not even in it. But if anybody's taking a position, make sure you pay yourself.
Well, let me ask you just really quick. You think we get some resistance here at 28?
It's possible.
Chart shows that. We'll see if we bust through this. You know what I'm going to do? Let me actually add this to my other window. That way I can keep an eye on it, even if we talk about something else here. They actually bid 28 there.
So we have half an hour for this to back test this trend line and then try and push up to 35. We'll see what ends up happening. I'm not going to try this in the pre-market like I've been saying, but man, I think is gonna move today. I just can't say exactly which direction. This depends on where we end up getting out of the open, but
okay.
This low float, we're going to see movement, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. We just peaked our head above 28. That thing got slammed. So to the earlier strategy point that you made, it might be better off, or you might be better off, waiting for a pullback here and then trying to buy the pull. I know Smoke Tuna, who's not with us yet, often says buy the weakness here. That might be the strategy here in SBET. Also, really good stuff here. Anil saying Solana chain gets the most revenue, or most rev, me. That's REV, real economic value. Good stuff. You guys you guys on top of all of this. We're going to keep folding. We're going to keep folding more crypto into this offering here. Yeah.
Sideshow's not waiting for the open. He's like, I see the setups. I'm going for it.
Hey,
he's already making some money. Well done.
See the trade, be the trade. We're not here to tell you one way or another. Okay, let's hit the rest of this list. We can always come back to SBET. I suspect that we're going to spend a lot of time with this here today. Next here on the list is going to be FAAS. That's FAAS. This is Digi Asia. This is a penny stack that we've seen before. We want to be careful with this one. It was 64 cents here in the pre-market. We popped up to $1.50, retraced 50 cents or a large part of that move. We're holding $1 here, trading higher on no news. However, on May 21st, Digi Asia faces NASDAQ compliance challenge over delayed filings. So what does that mean? You guessed it. Quick look around the horn here. 1.18% of the float shorted with 1.07 days to cover. Negligible short interest there. On average, the stock trades about 12 million shares. Today in the pre-market, we've traded over 35 million. Float here is 25.2 million. Not the greatest catalyst here, 13, but one we've seen work before. You got anything here on ticker FAAS?
Yeah, so this is going to be two things. Recompliance play that you outlined, and also they have announced a launch of a Bitcoin Treasury reserve strategy, and they're looking to raise up to 100 million in capital to acquire Bitcoin. By the way, this is a Singapore company. So I didn't spend a lot of time looking into all that. I don't know if they're going to be making a private placement or if it's going to be share dilution. They already have 25 million shares in the float, so they can just go ahead and dilute that some more if they wish. Didn't have a really good read on their financials, as usually one can expect from companies that are in Southeast Asia. Other than that, this is just kind of moving on that recompliance news and the I think the Bitcoin Treasury exploration. Now we look at the technicals. This is looking similar to the SBET chart in a certain aspect, that we had this impulse run up and then we came back in and started trading a little bit lower. But we are actually beneath the VWAP in this company, so this is looking a lot weaker than SBET is. I would think that this is going to continue to trade lower unless there's some impulse move coming that's going to help lift it over VWAP. Looks like we got that about 10 minutes ago. It was rejected, came right back beneath VWAP. I think it's probably going to end up going lower, and I don't see support coming until about 83 cents.
Okay. Really good stuff there on FAAS. Next one here, E2WO, and I'll save you the trouble. This is a no trade here. This is a buyout at 325 or whatever this is.
330, yeah.
330.
Yep.
So this stock's a buyout. Traded here this morning. Trade's over. If you had this, congratulations. No new trade here. We won't be taking a look at this here today. Next on the list here. It's right. That's right. It's Hollow, YOLO, JOLO. It is obviously, or arguably, one of the most popular 13 stocks that we've had here. Mainly just for the lulls, nothing serious here. HOLO, Micro Cloud Hologram. The stock was about 550 last week. This popped above 8 here today, or right to 8, and has bled back in. First thing to note, this type of behavior after a pop, it often bleeds. So just understand that. Reported on May 22nd here, Micro Cloud Hologram showcases progress in quantum enhanced image based on non-local effects. So if I recall correctly, Holo at one point has been a cannabis stock, an AI stock, a crypto stock, and now quantum stock. They seem to be changing their thesis with the wind here in order to have their stock respond to that. Quick look around the horn here on this name. 13.52% of the float charted with 1 day to cover. That comes on a paltry 1.1 million shares of average volume. Today we've traded over 6. Float here is 4.7. Joe, how do we trade your namesake?
Well, this company has one thing going for it. They are really good at doing the word salad on their PR headlines.
Yeah.
Every time that we get a headline from this, it's always some like really convoluted, insane thing that you'd have to kind of like open up a dictionary sometimes for. But this is okay. So I understand the quantum enhanced imaging. I get that, but based on non-logical effects, that's something I need to understand a little bit more. I kind of get it, but it's like. I guess they're kind of throwing people off with it, but by making it sound more important. The whole thing here is that it's looking like it's using LiDAR and other radio enhanced sensors to it's like it's going to be using it to help imaging for driving autonomy or EVs, if you will. So like a quantum holographic LiDAR, I guess. I don't even have any idea how far along they are with that, or they say they announced progress. I didn't read the PR, so I don't know how far along they are with that. But this is just going to be another pump job, and I likely after this this movement that we get here this morning, it's going to come back in and trade like crap again, as it always does.
Okay.
So I don't know if I would even touch this one. It's still like what isn't today still a new low for it? Or wasn't Friday a new low for it? I thought it was, but anyway.
All right, so this is a no touch. I'll tell you what, the chart doesn't look all that great. You could probably come up with a trend line here if you wanted to, but
for the daily.
I just meant even in on the intraday. Well, here's the daily. I mean, I'll tell you what, these reverse split dailies look awful. Here you go. And no good, no bueno, as they say. Yeah. No bueno. No bueno. Okay. Next here, lottery. So this is back. Didn't we? We looked at lottery.com on Friday last week and also on Wednesday last week. Looks like we're curling a little bit here. I didn't see any news on this. Did we get anything fresh since I came on here? We did. Lottery.com and sports.com driver receives top rookie honors at the Indy 500. Okay. I don't really think that this is going to do anything for the stock. Did anyone watch the Indy 500? I checked it out for a little bit. Callum Eott and Lewis Foster, the two drivers in question here. I'll be honest with you. I don't really see how this has any impact on the stock here itself. Lottery popping a little bit here, up 16%. I got to think that this is more delayed action from last week than anything that happened at the Indy 500. Quick look around the horn here. A reminder on lottery, 2.98% of the float shorted here with 1.48 days to cover. You got anything on this one, 13? You think this is legit at all? I kind of want to.
I think this is on Momo. And we did get that news on Friday that was a little bit more of a higher average volume than what is normally traded. Now, I understand that they've been having some pretty good volume over the past few days leading up to Friday, but it just seems like this has just gone continued momentum, but that momentum is like kind of fading. If we do get a push up here, I'd be looking at like a 5-minute time frame, but kind of have backed out so you can see all of the past few days and just draw levels from that. So if this is going to push up, it looks like 220 is going to be the next resistance area. But alternatively, if it falls down, it looks like you can find support about 180.
Okay. And I think that you had something probably like this.
You could do that too. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could draw from this.
Okay. This gives it to us. This gives it to us. Where was I? Sergeant Sexy says, I watched the Larson wreck and tuned out. Yeah, I was following him too, right? He was going to race in the 500, then take the PJ, the private jet, from the Indy 500 to Charlotte, and then race in the Charlotte race at night. 2 races in the same day. I think only a handful of drivers have accomplished that. He wrecked in both races, though. Didn't finish either of them. Wrecked in both races. Wild stuff. Okay. S-Bet's popping.
Yeah, and popping in quotes. I think this thing's ripping. But here's the thing: like when you look at the spread here, and you look at just how this is moving, where these prices are getting hit. This thing is very spready, and you could see a big pull coming. I'd be very careful with this one, especially up here. And there's 36. Wow.
New highs in the pre-market.
Anybody that's already in this that's trading it, you're doing great. Just make sure you protect yourself and you get paid on the way up. I don't know where this ends, but I don't feel like this is going to continue to extend it beyond infinity right now. But this has to come back in. Just be careful. It's great trade. If you're doing this, you're doing awesome. But please be careful.
Sorry for the dead air there. Okay. Good stuff. I think we're gonna have something on our hands here today. Again, I think this actually might do better after it pulls back. Okay, next here, another one that is making some news here. We've talked about this stock a whole lot. Y'all should be familiar with it. Ticker DJT, Trump Media and Technology Group shares are trading higher amid reports that the company will raise $3 billion to buy cryptocurrencies. That's all you're getting here. This actually did trade higher, made a move towards 30, immediately yanked on that 30 move. We've seen this type of trade action a lot on this stock. We know that this happens. This is definitely something, you see a pop like that, this is definitely something that you want to sell into here. That's the news. Here's your short interest on this. 9.85% of the float shorted here, 1.47 days to cover. This comes with a float of 105.5 million. This much higher float. 13, you got anything here? Ticker DJT for a trade?
Didn't look into this information. If it was already going down, I'm sure there might be somebody that's trying to get out of this, or a lot of people trying to get out of this. I'm sorry I didn't read into this one too much, but let's just see how this trades. I've already got levels for this, so we can draw on those if this gets going here, because we're at the kind of the bottom end of all the levels that I have, because all of them extend from all the price action we had last year when this thing was tearing up all the way to 79 and whatnot. But anyway, as far as the earliest level that I have, 2550 is going to be one, and we're just beneath that. So,
okay, a little bit more color here on the headline that I just read you. Trump Media and Technology Group announces Bitcoin treasury deal under which the company agreed to issue and sell about 1.5 billion in common stock and $1 billion in principal amount of 0% convertible notes. It intends to use those proceeds, about $2.5 billion, for a Bitcoin treasury. Stock has actually gone green to red here in the pre-market. Giddy up. Giddy up. Joe here saying that because Trump is not tweeting, that shows that he is furiously selling DJT. Of course, that's not possible and not what's happening, but it's good for the lulz. We've taken a look at DJT quite a bit here. Play this one at your own risk. Now, really quickly here, day trader, these levels here for S-Bet. First of all, the comment that you gave before this, I have SBET levels on my chart going all the way back to 2021. 13, I thought you would appreciate that because we often come across levels that go back multiple years. What I'm going to do here real quick is on this SBET chart, I'm going to add these levels because if we get these levels to come into play here today, I want to be prepared. We're going to start with the high one. 39.42 is your first one.
I do like 40.
Okay.
I do like 40.
39.42 is pretty close to that. 35.28.
Let's see here. So
I'm just duplicating day traders levels here.
No, those are fine levels. I'm just looking at I'm looking at my daily chart and I'm looking at levels here. And
26.02 day trader. I'll tell you what, man, you're 26.02.
Sure. Yeah, we're past a lot of that.
Yeah, you must have a very precise calculation there. That 02 would bother me so much that I would have just already fixed that to 26 even. That's just how my brain works. Bad or good or what or anything in between. That's just how it works. All right, and then 1774. Okay, so we've got the day trader levels here marked down. We'll see if we end up coming in or if we end up playing with any of these levels here today. This will give us at least a decent roadmap. Thank you. Thank you, day trader. Okay, what else do we want to do here? I think that was it for the movers list, right? Because there wasn't a whole lot there. Oh, you know what? We should mention, I beg your pardon. We should mention some of these uranium names are still up here. UEC, the big one here today. This actually had a piece of news. Uranium Energy applauds the Trump administration's transformational executive orders to quadruple U.S. nuclear capacity and rebuild domestic uranium fuel cycle. Stock is up here 9.3%. Do you have any levels for this one? I know we've talked about this entire theme recently. Do you have anything here that we should go over?
Well, I don't have. I can pull some levels up for you. I mean, like when it comes to UEC, there's a.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you had any here.
We had a 730 high earlier this morning in the pre-market, so that's one I'd be watching for. This looks like it wants to continue to go up. It's currently at a resistance area. If you look at the past half hour, this has been trying to get above 7, and but it hasn't been able to really hold above it. It's very slow moving right now. Well, it looks like it has been trying to hold above 7. I guess 705 would be more accurate. It's just above 7. It's been running into resistance. You can tell from the 5-minute chart that's the case. So looks like there's some sellers between here and 715 trying to prevent it from going higher. But if we do get through those guys, then 730 would be next, followed by, let's see here.
I got a trend line on here too that we should really take a look at getting over. You know, the thing about this, these stocks trade a little bit more well-behaved, I guess you'd say, than some of these other kind of meme pumpy stocks. But okay, anything else UEC?
Looks like 8 could be a pretty good level too. That'd be one I'd watch for, and then 880 after that.
Fairchild here says there's a couple uranium mine floods. I don't have any information. I'd be curious as to some more information on that, Fairchild, even if it's just a link for me to read, to be quite honest with you. Good stuff.
Yeah, because that's actually interesting, because if you can tell us where those are, then we can look at the companies that aren't flooding, because there's some companies that have mine prospects. We were trading one of them last week, where they're planning to start drilling in July. It was one of those movers that we had last week, I believe. We'll have to figure out which one that is. But there's some other companies that have mines that they're trying to come online, and if they're not one of the ones that are getting flooded, those might move better.
Okay. All right, good stuff. There are a couple of things to clean up here from the movers list. ASST, Robert's actually already mentioning this one. This is one from last week. This popped here in the pre-market and pulled already. So we'll see what gets going. I don't think there's anything new on this. Oh, I'm sorry. Strive Management and Asset Management announced a $750 million private placement to fund the first wave of Bitcoin accumulation. Oh my God. We're getting more and more of these things, it looks like. ASST pop followed by a 30% dump. I do want to get to some of the other stocks here. We're running out of time, 13. So I'm gonna go through this a little bit quickly. Was there anything else that I missed here that you want to cover?
No. I mean, I like I said, I think when it comes to the movers, we're probably going to be hyper focused on SBET.
Okay.
That thing already made a new pre-market high, and it looks like it's going to do it again soon.
LAES, the other one that I wanted to mention here, this is actually holding pretty well from last week. It's put in a pretty good move last week. Seals Q shares are trading higher after the company announced a partnership with Solana and an investment into Weekend token. So more Bitcoin news here today. Bitcoin itself, by the way, 110,900 on the futures. It's actually at a morning high right now, plus 1.87%. In the pre-market here. So, okay, really good stuff. That's probably it for the movers. We'll keep track of anything that gets moving around here. For right now, though, let's go over to the big chart and let's take a look at some of those other stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at. CoreWeave is going to be the first one. Oh, I have to actually bring it up here. Come on. So here's the situation is still the same here in CoreWeave. It looks like a short just because it's moved so crazy, but it's been very, very difficult to short. What's the next move here? Do you think new highs or a breakdown? I'm just going to put you right on the spot and ask you.
Excellent. Just what I was looking for. We are trading. Okay, so this looks like it does need to cool off with how extended it is. Now, if this kind of goes through like a bit of a sideways motion for several days, which helps lower the RSI, I could see that maybe setting up for the next move up. But I kind of on the side of this thing is just really overextended. It kind of needs to come in and cool off a little bit. I'd feel like we even touched on this, I think, last week because when this was maybe it was a different stock, but it seems like $90 would be a good support area if 100 doesn't hold. I like the $90 area.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. What I would go with.
So you're thinking maybe we test some of these downside levels here today?
I don't know about today, but as far if we look at Friday's candle, I think we would probably go down and at the very least try to catch some support from the close.
102, 103-ish?
Yeah, 102.74. Yeah, I think that would be a good support area for reversal. Let me look at a smaller time frame here.
SBET new highs, by the way.
Yeah, don't worry. I got it. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, I think this is the kind of thing that I would just look at a smaller time frame, look at some of the levels from Friday and last week, and draw off that. It really does look like 102. Let's look at that area. Look, you saw that close right from Friday. It was 102.74. Mm-hmm. Look at that area right there that we just got. We just went sideways in the after hours after that close. That in that area. So I think that closing area is going to be a good area of support. Maybe even that consolidation where we were trying to break back into the 105 area might also be a good area as well. So those two areas, around just beneath 105 and beneath 103, I think those are going to be some support areas if we come in.
Okay.
You see what I'm talking about? There you are.
I do. I sure do.
Yeah.
I sure do. Sorry, let me. Wanted to give I forgot to give Anne-Marie the link for today because I thought it was Monday and it's Tuesday. We're going to have Anne-Marie on a little bit later today. Okay. That was it for CoreWeave here. For any of you trading CoreWeave out there, let me know what you're thinking here. Higher, lower? How are we trading this one? Curious because I think this actually could make a pretty good trader for us. That is CoreWeave. Next one here is going to be Nike. Then we'll take a look at OKLO. The Nike question came up because we were talking earlier about the Apple story about Trump really wanting Apple to manufacture iPhones here. And I took a step back and I kind of compared that to the manufacturing discussion that we've had on Happy Hour 13. We really kind of want the newer manufacturing here, right? It's not about this whole reshoring is not necessarily about moving shirts and shoes manufacturing back on shore, but instead more high-tech manufacturing. Nike got asked about when we were talking about some of that. The play here for Nike, I still think this is going to depend more on trade deals just because China is such a huge part of what Nike does here. looking at the chart, I mean, this is as clear as day. We're really struggling to get above the 50. And when we do get above the 50, maybe things will behave better here. I suspect that Nike's going to have a lot of kind of global macro trends that are going to affect it. Like I said, I would imagine this would be a fairly decent proxy given the trade spats with China and the U.S. I am not a fan of this, of the stock. I'm not a fan of the product. Sometimes the stock really does tell you that it's a pretty good trade. 13, I don't know about you. I'd like to get your opinion on it. But right now, I don't see a whole lot of a trade here. We did a really good job for the longest time holding the 70 level. That gave us a number of different long side trades off of that 70 level. We've used some of our moving averages, in particular the 200, as a resistance area. That's been pretty good. But here we are down here in the 60 handle, trying to chop around and find a new price level. We're actually in the gap down from the Liberation Day gap down here. And we're really struggling to get back above the 50. However, we are holding above the 20, and those are converging. So, 13, what do you think here on the Nike chart?
Well, right now the price in the pre-market is above the 50-day SMA. So if we can open and close above that, that'd be encouraging. We need to get multiple days close above this. And the last time we did it, which it was just last week, we still ended up trading beneath it and getting support from the 20-day SMA. So we want to see this rise up and away from the 50-day SMA, and that'll we'll probably end up still finding some resistance in around 63, as there's a bit of a trend that's keeping the price down as well. But when it comes to the exposure this company has to different countries, and in relation to the tariff issue, they're mostly concentrated in Vietnam, China, and Indonesia, in that order. So if we start getting trade deals, like if we got a trade deal with Vietnam, if we had something solid in there, I think that would be one of the bigger moves. I don't think we've got one. There were talks ongoing, I believe, but I don't think we've completely solidified anything yet.
Nope, you're correct.
So that would be those big three markets, especially Vietnam. I think if we do have a trade deal with Vietnam, the Nike stock will trade better for that time being. I don't want to say it's going to completely recover because you still have that China and Indonesia angle. But I do think you'll see a better movement once we start getting some of those trade deals out of the way.
It's Jex with an interesting question here that I definitely wanted to take. Hi. Well, first of all, hello, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever it is for you. Is it good being a part-time day trader? I'm living in Hong Kong and I got a full-time job. FYI, U.S. trading hours are actually nighttime in Hong Kong. So the first thing that I would just kind of answer your question here generally, I think it is an awesome idea for everybody that is involved with a market, whether you're really great at day trading or not great at it yet. Always have some other type of job, some other type of income stream. Diversify your income however you can. I think generally speaking, anyone that wants to be involved in trading, yes, having another job at the same time is a really good idea. Easy for me to say. There are plenty of people that make millions and millions of dollars a year from just trading. Certainly wouldn't tell them how to live their life. But for the rest of us that are still kind of getting up off the ground and we're trying to reach our financial independence and freedom, yes, having a job alongside is going to teach you a lot of skills as well as help you control emotions a little bit better. I know that's how it's worked for me. And then the other thing, if you trade at night and work during the day, that sounds like a full day.
Yeah, I've mentioned before, this is not my general source of income. This is supplemental. I have other sources of income that I consider primary. Sir, if you have a job already, that's the thing you're going to want to hold on to. I do think it's good to trade as long as you're not over leveraging yourself and making sure that this isn't going to be a money loser for you. This is supplemental income. This is not a general source of income. That's the way that's the approach I take with trading.
Here we go. Track with CT. I'm back.
Hey,
welcome back. Still brand new to day trading, sitting in my parking lot at work. I work at 9:30, and of course, the market opens at 9:30. Should I dump onto ASST and walk into work? Okay, couple of things here. So first of all, I can totally empathize with the work starting right when the market starts. I dealt with that for a number of years, and it was frustrating, but you just got to kind of find a way around it. Should you dump stuff into a specific day trading stock and walk away and forget about it? No, I believe that this is very much akin to gambling, and you shouldn't do this. You should be more tactical. Instead, you should wait for a time when you can be more tactical and pay more attention and save your dry powder for there. No, I don't think gambling is a good idea. Okay. We also want to take a look at OKLO. We've got a minute left here. So let me just go with what I can go with before the market opens. Here's your OKLO daily chart. We are approaching 60 again. Stock's up 1.43% here today. We did have some news here. Oklo and Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power to cooperate on an advanced nuclear project. And this doesn't say anything about the time frame, but this does show that that they're still working towards projects there. They signed a MOU with Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power to collaborate on development, a global deployment of Oklo's advanced nuclear technology. Stock is up 1.3% here today. We'll see how that does throughout the course of the day.
All right. So in the pre-market, S-bet hit $38.99. And now we are open. We are at $34, trying to push higher. Looking like it's finding resistance around 35. Let's see what we get here. Meanwhile, DJT, that's kind of sideways out of the open here. FAAS, that's trying to recapture VWAP. Looks like UEC that we were talking about earlier, that had a pull out of the gate down to 65 EMA, and it's trying to get back above the VWAP. We also were asked about Rocket Lab. I didn't see any news on that one this morning, but I just said it a lot of times. Rocket Lab, I think, is going to be the big competitor of SpaceX. This is an awesome company that is going to grow into its valuation, which I currently think its valuation is very, very high and extended. Just want to make sure that's understood. But with the steps this company is taking and its close relationship to the U.S. Department of Defense, I think this is going to be a really good company going forward.
Okay, good stuff there. And your note about this, you're still being a little bit noted.
Being a little bit what?
It's still taking some time. I can't remember. I'm trying to think of the exact phrase that you just used, and I'm literally drawing a blank on what you said 2.5 seconds ago. But basically, you were trying to convey that this might not be ready to go right now.
Well,
in the future.
What I'm saying is that the valuation on this is very, very high compared to their revenue and their income, which I don't think they're quite profitable yet, but they're getting there. And I think once they get their Neutron rocket going, this is going to be a great company, because that's going to be the real part of their business that's going to compete with SpaceX.
Really quickly here, folks, Tesla blasting off. Here's that 350 spot. We talked about this a lot last week. We are right back at it here. 350 right on here. The news floating around is that Elon Musk is now 24/7 working at his companies, sleeping in the offices, not going home, this and that, whole bunch of stuff. Stock responding positively to that here today. Power move out of the gate. We're now through 350 here, 352 and change on Tesla. Stock's up about 4% here today.
So he's back.
Nice move out of the gate there.
Back in his cage. Everybody's
back in his cage. Tons of Tesla options flowing across the wire here as well. Pretty much all on the call side, at least so far.
All right. So far, S-bet has not been able to get back above 35, looking like it's going to head lower here initially. Down to it's currently beneath its VWAP, at least that's what I've got. But see that there could be some support coming in around 28 and 26.
Tom from across the pond, our buddy from across the pond, morning you two. It almost sounds like we did something wrong and we're about to be scolded. Nonetheless, GME is ever a curious watch. Indeed it is. And here is your GME. This has actually started moving since Thursday of last week. We popped again here out of the open above $34 here. Didn't really have anything there. it actually looked like it was going to kind of break out from here. Let me go to the yep, right here. So your daily chart here really kind of flashing a breakout level, and so far it looks like we're getting that. Tom, one of the things I would want to see is, can we hold above this? If so, maybe that does put some of the crazier print or targets on here for GMA. Stock has been strong. I don't see any news to accompany this. You guys can correct me if you found anything here on GME.
What was the crypto aspirations of this company again?
I'm pretty sure that they wanted to turn it into like a crypto like outlet, right? Like they probably did want to add crypto to the balance sheet, but I'm pretty sure they also wanted you to be able to deposit crypto in real life in some of the stores. Day Trader here saying it's a Bitcoin play. Day Trader, what else am I missing here?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. I thought this had a crypto angle.
They do,
because all the other ones are kind of running. It's going to run with it.
And then you had Cohen posing with Michael Saylor and talking to him more and more. There is definitely a crypto angle here. Lol, GME crypto. I'm serious. That's what they wanted to do. Netflix higher out of the open here. NBIS, by the way, that's one of those AI names that we've been trading. Chris, I know you've been really hot on this one. This pulling out of the open here. This actually might set up for a trade. Tesla did pull off the 354 high, but a nice power move for that. And Bitcoin pulling off of its pre-market high here today.
Mike, well, good morning. Hope you had a wonderful holiday weekend. FOMO is who would buy up here. That's who. FOMO.
For what? On what?
FOMO on crypto. He was asking who would buy Bitcoin up here. I was like, FOMO.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for pulls. My theory on Bitcoin is just added on pullbacks.
So DJT smacked down, not down to the pre-market lows of 22.55, but down under 25 now. SBET still continuing to come in, trading beneath VWAP. This looks like it's still going to need to continue to cool off. That's fine. We'll wait for this one. Rocket Lab, that hit a high of 27.59. That was a nice move out of the gate here after all this pre-market consolidation. And GME, knocking on the door of 35.
That's what I mean. GME is definitely having a move here. SBET continuing to pull in. Shayla Vega here. For the guy asking if day trading is a good profession, it can be, but it's more psychological than people admit. This is a fact, folks. Some people don't admit this. I think we do a pretty good job here on this show talking about it, but it is absolutely psychological. It's like dating. Fear, greed, loss, envy. Your inner stuff shows up fast. That's a good quote. That is a good quote. Okay. What else am I missing?
One night out will cost you.
well done. Well done. FAS here looks like that is still rejected at its VWAP. EJH, this is one I feel like we've traded here before. It's now a 15-cent penny stock. Look out. Devs, that's a penny stock. DGLY, this had a recent reverse split, didn't it? This was a 4-cent stock not long ago. I'll try and stay away from some of those crappier ones. CoreWeave, look at the move here on CoreWeave. Boy, are we going for we're at the all-time highs here, aren't we? What is this previous all-time high? 116.54. We're right there.
Yeah.
We didn't print that here today, did we? Well, no, we did. New all-time highs, 116.89 here on CoreWeave. Anyone reloading this short?
I don't think that'd be the great.
I have look. I mean, I'm not trading CoreWeave here.
I think this probably comes in after NVIDIA earnings. That could be. That's. I could definitely see this running into the print tomorrow. That's a really good point. Yeah, I want to see what on that note, like, what are we all thinking with that? Because I've got concerns.
You folks are mentioning QBTS falling hard. Here we go. Philip, finally, quantum is going down. Here you go, Philip. Now, remember, I had 14 and a half puts on QBTS that expired on Friday. So watch this print 14 and a half today.
So if QBTS does, and all these other quantum names get hit really hard, like, look, QBTS needs to cool off. This thing is, getting up into the 80 RSI not that long ago.
Yeah.
If this thing comes down, there's a support area around 1525, 1530 that it could provide some help there. But even if we lose that, I'm looking at $12. I think that's the level to watch for.
Okay. Real quickly here, Kathy, love this. Just sold some CoreWeave
Nice.
So you're going to get a register ring for that, because I know you weren't, you've been trading this for a while. You're selling into this move higher, which I think is totally smart, and looking to reload. Kathy, here's my one follow-up question. Given this move here, what are you looking for in order to rebuy? Is it a particular level? Is it action? Is it something else? Piece of news? What is it that's telling you to reload on this? I'd be curious. Really good job selling into the strength here today. SBET might be turning around here. Looks like it came into that 15 EMA on the 5. That's one that we talk about a lot here. Bouncing back above 30. We'll see if this can reverse course. 35.30. One of those areas that we'd want to see that grab.
Looks like it got pretty close to that the high of that candle at 8:10, the one that we started our trend line on. That high was 28.40. Low we just printed was 28.50. Seems like that's about the area there. It's providing support. We'll see if that holds. We're not done with this candle yet, and the next one is also going to tell us that it is going to turn around.
One more thing here. Shayla Vega saying, I'm still kicking myself for swinging NVIDIA around 100. Did it in the paper account, but not in the real account. So one thing to keep in mind here, you will always have another opportunity at some type of trade. Even if you feel like you miss the specific trade, opportunities will continue to provide itself. Practicing also never a bad idea here. Shay, you'll get that one. I'm sure of it. Dugan, good morning. Great to see you. Does the SPY recover this morning? So here's what Dugan is asking about. SPY here was higher in the pre-market, had a little bit of a pull down. I would imagine, yes, Dugan, just to kind of go back to some of the levels that I gave a little bit earlier here on SPY, I got to think 593, 595 is going to be one of the upside levels that we're taking a look at. Here's basically what the chart says in pictures. Come on, readjust volume profile. It's so annoying that it takes forever to do this. I'm just going to turn it off. How about that? There we go. Take that. These are the levels that I'm looking at. I definitely want to see us hold above 582.30, but I think that this trend line that we have put in from last week's high, this is going to be one of the targets, and I've got this at 393. So I would imagine if we get any type of strength here and we go back into the green, this is going to represent your upside target, maybe even tomorrow if we're getting some more profit taking. Remember here, news was pretty bearish last week. The boss was pissed on Friday. So if you bought for the weekend, I could imagine you taking profit here today.
My thought here when I'm looking at the 5-minute chart is that, well, first of all, 586.12 is a previous all-time high. You know how I am about those. They worked out really well. And that particular level was support in the pre-market. And then we, as we came into the open here, we lost that level. And that was, we actually had bounced off it, around 850, 855, traded back up. When we came back down here just before the open, we lost it. Now we're trying to recapture it. I'm on the side right now that this level is probably going to be a rejection site if the price action trades back up. If it is, then I think it's going to come down to the 5% pullback level, the value of which is 582.57.
There you go.
I think we're going to see a little bit more downside before we see any upside today.
Okay. That's really specific and great. By the way, SBET here, this did bounce off that 15 EMA on the 5. 35.30 looks to be the next target here.
GME about to put in some new session highs. There it is.
FAAS getting called by Tuna here. This is moving through the VWAP.
Oh, fast! Finally, okay. That was what we were waiting for. Is
volume is continuing to expand here too. This is looking good. See if we get a move here.
It's got to break that. It looks like since the pre-market, it's been when we lost the VWAP in the pre-market, and it has been trying to recapture it, running into 114 as the side of rejection. So if we can break through that, this thing may start printing in the 120s.
Okay, we'll see here. Fast, trying to hold this VWAP. Pete asking, why was Bruce Springsteen so angry? That boss? No, not the irrelevant one whose time is way past. No, the one that's relevant, Pete. Not the irrelevant guy. Not Bruce Springsteen. LOL.
Halted.
Which one is halted?
SBET is halted to the upside.
SBET halted to the upside. Okay. So we did end up getting that move there, 34.45.
Yeah, curious to see if when this opens, if it opens above 36 or not.
Yeah, and I wanted to see if there was anything left over on my level 2. There was. It looks like at the time of the halt, someone was bidding 35.
Okay, that's interesting news. Thank you for that, Crimp Biscuit. Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas tomorrow starts. It starts tomorrow. 30,000 attendees representing 120 countries. Would you view that as a sell the news event?
Possibly. How have those events? I really haven't been tracking how the conferences or the events end up working on the price, though. Like I don't know. Like, does it often sell off on the event itself?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have no context or feel for that.
Because if we're seeing a run up into this event, which is supposed to be tomorrow, and everybody's going to, keep an eye.
Thank you, day trader. Sorry for interrupting you. I knew someone in the chat would have this. The last Bitcoin event was a sell the news event. This is what my gut would have told me, but I didn't have anything actionable that I felt good about.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be on that as well. And look at the run that we've had. Also, here's something you can do. Draw a trend line on the underside of this whole Bitcoin run. And once we snap this trend line, that's how you know that we've reversed.
So you're talking about the actual price for Bitcoin here, right?
On a daily.
We can easily do that. We can easily. So here you go.
Look at the Terra flow, April 7th or 8th or whatever those last 3-day lows were. And then just draw it on the underside.
There you go.
Yes. We snapped that. I think we're going to start to see Bitcoin go weaker.
Philip here saying, I think Bitcoin is due for a big pullback after reaching these massive all-time highs. Phillips, from your lips to God's ears, that would be awesome. I would hope for the same thing here. I still want my 70K order to get filled. Day trader reminding us that just because it was a sell the news event last time doesn't mean it will be this time, of course. But still, I would just like to get more context for that, just so I have a better feeling. But appreciate it. Appreciate you giving us that information there. SBET still halted. Let's see if I see anything else going crazy here. Apple coming in. I think we expected that. VIX here settling at about 20.5. That makes sense.
Bigabees, it had a retracement off the highs. I'm sorry, let me go to a daily chart here. Off the all-time highs where it was like double topping around 109. We had that retracement that brought it down to just about 75,000. We're referring to this run it's been on since then. Like this has just been a pretty steady staircase up with the trend largely intact. That trend hasn't snapped. What we're saying is once this trend snaps, there could be some more of that coming in. That's what we're looking for. At least that's what I'm looking for. This current run that we've been on since April 7th.
And I mean, 13, that makes a lot of sense, right? Like if you get a snap of that trend here. Anil saying my 70K order is not getting filled. That seems to be the case. I thought it was going to get filled in the last downdraft that we have, but the low that we got was 76K. I'm patient though. I've seen some pretty crazy swings in Bitcoin, and I can't get Jamie Dimon to come back here, but he told me it was going to zero, so I should get another opportunity at least at some point. Joe here saying, do people really, quote, buy the rumor, end quote, because of an upcoming crypto conference? Retail, at least I doubt, cares much. So Joe, here's what I can answer you. I can answer for certain that yes, day traders do this. But here's the thing. They often do that when that piece of news is released. So let's say, for example, Stock XYZ announces today, midday, that they're going to present at some crypto conference. Yes, that will absolutely drive buying activity. But some of those day traders are out within 15 seconds. So do they actually hold to the sell the news release? I would say far less do that. Those moves can be very, very quick.
SBET's open.
Let me go to that here real quick.
Did not pop up to 36. Looks like it's trying to push now. But yeah, so and you know, it's going to be an event that's going to focus a lot of attention on crypto, stocks and currencies and all that. So it's going to create liquidity, which is great if you're looking to take profits because you want liquidity. You want buyers when you're a seller. GME pulled back beneath VWAP. UEC, I'm sorry, that lost to 65 EMA. This could be headed down towards that consolidation from the after hours, since we've given up almost all the gains that it's made since then.
Real quick here on GME, this was the one thing that I was kind of looking for. This is why I had mentioned earlier that this was a breakout level on the chart. The pullback here basically pulls you back to that breakout level. Tom, really good job taking some profit on there, but I don't think we're done here yet. If this holds, I don't know what's going to happen in GME. I'm not bullish or bearish either way. I'm basically just looking at the chart here. I would not be surprised that if we hold this area and don't break down here today, that you actually get a secondary move higher in GME today. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's something to watch for. We're right back at that breakout level right here.
Mr. Benjamin Dover, what are the crazy levels for SBET? One of my crazy levels that I see here today for that stock is going to be 68.90.
Oh. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, if you want to just round it, you could just round it to 69, but 68.90 is the level.
Nice. Yeah, we definitely will do that. Here, let me get this level plopped on there real quick. But by the way, does anyone else say the word plop a lot because of SimCity? Just out of curiosity, I played SimCity going all the way back to the original. And I've kind of taken that word from SimCity. You'll have to let me know. Real quickly here, shout out to Day Trader, because the levels that Day Trader gave that we plopped on this chart here, they look to be holding up almost perfectly so far here. Look at that 39.42 impulse high. Unreal.
No, I don't.
Plop. It's a fun word to say. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, let's see here.
NVTS. Who's on this one? This was a mover from last week. This actually had the NVIDIA catalyst, right? NVIDIA selects Navitas to collaborate on a next generation chip architecture here. This up 17% here today. Maybe we get kind of a secondary move here. NVTS. Looking at the chart here, we didn't really give back everything. I understand we retraced some of this move. Watch some of these levels here. 550, the next one, if we get above this.
More short squeezing in this. High short, just high days to cover. Nuclear Rocket Lab, says Robin, or I'm sorry, Lynn Adams. What are they doing now? Because I know that Rocket Lab is already having a decent morning. What's Lunar doing today? What are all the space names going up? Let's see here. Space names are mostly green, almost all of them. The only one that's not is Virgin Galactic, which makes sense. One of the biggest mover on my list for the space names is going to be SATL, Satellogic. What's going on with that? What's the news with that?
Daniel's saying this market feels like a lot of traders made this a 4-day weekend. So what I will say here is that this happens quite a bit, especially if the barbecues were really popping and the whiskey was flowing yesterday. You might have a little bit of low volume here today. Just saying. LAES still gearing up here. This is one that we covered. This actually looks like a move through 420 sends this higher. No pun intended.
Looks like you are getting some pullback here in FAAS. Got some downside here. This looks like it's going to
look at this.
This looks like it could go all the way down to the 65 EMA, which I have that value at 84 cents.
Look at LEU Lion. I know this is Jay. I call it Jay's LEU Lion. I know you've been on this too. Really great stuff here. New highs here on LEU. This was such a good buy from the 60 handle.
Trend line from the first two peaks. Yes.
There we go.
A little bit more to go, but Dugan, thank you so much for reminding me. I can't believe I forgot that. Yes, Starship flight is possible today. They are
Whoa.
scheduled to launch this evening. And this is after they've had those previous two launches that the upper stage exploded, the Starship stage exploded because they've been having some problems with their engines. So did a series of tests. Hopefully they got this one dialed in. If this one works successfully, there could be another launch right around the corner pretty quickly. So going to be exciting if that's what happens here. Now, unfortunately, with this launch, they aren't not planning to catch the booster this time. What they're going to be doing is they're going to be sending it into the ocean as if it was like an aborted launch. But what the plan with this booster is, this is one from a previous test flight, so this is the first time they were using a booster, and they're going to try to put it through some other tests, including a trajectory angle when it re-enters, in order to see if they can. I think that the goal is to see if they can slow it down or have a better re-entry to where a lot of the engines of the engine bays aren't taking so much heat from re-entry. I thought that was the case, but anyway, yes, Starship launch later this evening. Supposed to be an evening launch. Looking forward to that, and that could be one of the reasons why we have all these space stocks moving today.
Really quick here, CoreWeave. This is I didn't start with the morning report today. Shame on me. CoreWeave had a downgrade today. CoreWeave was downgraded by Barclays to equal weight with a $100 price target and is up almost 11%, or was up almost 11% earlier. It's pulled off that high. 119.50 might be one of those spots there.
What was the low we had today?
In the regular session?
Okay. Now I was going to say, did we end up just did we sell off down? I mean, it looks like to me like CoreWeave is just setting up to go higher. Look at the 5 minute. I mean, if we hold above VWAP here, this thing looks like it will turn around and go higher.
The 119.50.
Yep.
119.50. This is the pre-market high from Thursday of last week. We're going to be there again. Maybe the downgrade is coming in. Anne Marie, I love this. Maybe the downgrade is coming in front of the NVIDIA earnings release. That's tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that, Anne Marie. That's interesting.
I'm really curious.
Something else to think about.
Really curious to see what they end up saying with this out of this report. I mean, the report might be good. I'm not sure if it is or not, but because we had those chip controls in place for this entire first quarter that they're reporting. I don't know what we're going to get with this guide, and I think that guide is going to be the big thing that makes or breaks the stock right now. Because if they're uncertain based on the way the tariffs are going, and Huang's visit to China didn't help create a clearer picture for the company, that might be the case. That this thing comes in on their earnings on the guidance.
Real quick here, a couple of things. Wheeler, by the way, this just got halted. That's ticker WHLR. This has been a show favorite. We've traded this one on a lot of movement before. Be very careful with this wild child here. This is up, though, popping and halting here, 580, and doing so on volume. A couple of other things I want to mention here real quick. Maverick, good morning. It's great to see you again. Maverick mentioning CrowdStrike here. Well, I got to type in the ticker correctly in order to bring it up. CRWD. We talked about CrowdStrike last week in the area that it was in, and it was flashing a potential breakout here. Here is what we were looking at. New highs here on CrowdStrike, 471. The stack up 3.5% here today. Congrats to anyone that's on this. Special shout out to Amanda, who really kind of put this on our show's radar a little bit more than it was. Interestingly enough, this making new 52-week highs post the PanW print here. PanW is trying to come back and fill that gap. See if it does that, makes a run for 200 here. CrowdStrike, CRWD, really good day here today. Maverick, really good stuff. How's UNH doing? I haven't even looked at it.
Go back to CrowdStrike. You got a trend line to draw. Start from May 6th, draw it through the consolidation area in June. I'm sorry, this May 6th of last year. Sorry, May 6th of last year, draw through the consolidation of June last year, and then draw it up through the area, the highs from February. That's going to tell you that could be the area. This trend line could tell you where this is going to end up going before we get some more resistance.
The Monday, May 6th, 2024, it's like in the middle. What am I missing here, dude? What am I doing wrong?
So Wednesday, I'm sorry, I may have said May. March.
You did.
March 6th, 2024.
Yeah, got it. I see it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Huge difference with March and May.
Sorry about that.
So here, I'm actually going to have it touch this line. Here you go. There you go. We got all types of trend lines here on CrowdStrike. Yeah. Thank you, 13.
No problem. So if we look at where that value is, if we come up here like this week, it seems to be about 480 might be where this it tops out at, and it could be up there for a few days before it turns around, just like it did in February. So I think this trend line is going to be something to watch for when the price reaches it.
Okay, day trader, take care of yourself. Thanks for all your input here this morning. Have a great work there. Amanda, love this. I've got 500 center strike flies on CrowdStrike. Let's go. I think it's establishing a good 450 support level, but it's going to get major insider selling by the time it hits 500. Okay, so you're looking at 450 as support, maybe a 500 as a potential move. That would actually be slightly above this trend line, and then you think we'll actually see some insider selling on the way up that might confirm that as a near-term top. A lot of information in this one post right here. Love that. Love that. Webcoin, thank you. Reeler reverse split here today. Thank you, Webcoin.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll make it move.
Jay, by the way, Jay, thank you for your service. 13, the Slope Slayer at work. I like that. The Slope Slayer. We might have to go with that. I think Jay might be onto something here.
Maybe.
13 does not sound amused. We'll see, though.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan, for mentioning that. Sorry, I'm just focused on waiting for that consumer confidence number to come out. Big change in that consumer confidence number.
98 versus the 87.1 estimate. The prior read there was 86. Market definitely moving on this, moving higher here. SPY 586. We're getting a push.
Mm-hmm. So and it was interesting too, because I was waiting for this to come out and hoping this would do something with regard to that bear flag that we had forming with around that 586.12 previous all-time high. As soon as that print came out, busted through it. Now we're going higher. Let's see, where does this go right now?
Here's right before that, sorry for interrupting. We got comments from Barkins. I'm just going to read this for you. Yeah. Barkins says published data shows an economy on the same trajectory as last year or two. Says businesses are still largely pulling to the sidelines. Says government spending cuts are having an impact on employment, job postings, particularly in the DC areas. Oh yeah, you don't say. By the way, there was a real estate expert last week saying that some of that stuff was fake. Yikes for her. Says consumers are anticipating inflation, and that has hit sentiment, but there's no evidence yet that this is translated into less spending, which is interesting. Sentiment being affected, but spending not so much. Says waiting to see what happens on inflation and jobs.
Yeah, and we're going to get all that information, those reports. So the jobs report, PCE, GDP, we're going to get all that before we even get this big, beautiful bill passed.
That's right. Their jobless claims a Thursday at 8:30, pending home sales at 10, and your PCE data Friday at 8:30, 13.
And even the jobs, like the literal jobs report that's coming next week, we're going to get that before we even get this spending bill taken care of. Like we might not see anything that bill get passed until July, to be honest. It might be a while, because now it's going back to the Senate. They're going to look at it. They're likely going to try to make changes. That's going to take some time. And I don't think there's going to be any vote on that until June. So that's people are going to have to wait for any outcome with regard to the big, beautiful bill, I think. August, says Anne Marie, that's entirely possible. But I think right now the push is to get this out before July 4th. So yes, you're right. Absolutely. 100% right. And it could very, very well even be August, because I don't think their timeline based on the arguing that's happening right now is going to be resolved before July 4th. But we'll see what we end up getting, because it can't go on for too long. can't go on for long.
Real quick here, UNH. You guys are taking a look at UNH. I know we've been doing a lot of charting and a lot of looking at this one. UNH, this looks like this is trying to roll over here. 289 looks to be the next spot down, then maybe 270, and then that low down here, 247 and change. Who's trading UNH?
Who's trading Rocket Lab? This thing is just great this morning. I got to shout out Dugan because I could, and I was looking at this and learning all about what's happening with it yesterday. I completely forgot it this morning. But yes, we are supposed to have a rocket launch this evening.
What time is that?
Let me get that for you.
And that's a Florida or a Texas one?
These are all so the Starship launches. They're all launching out of Texas.
That's Texas. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
they have their Starbase. So when it comes to like them actually making money, they launch all of their Falcon 9s out of Florida. Mm-hmm. Same with the Super Heavy, but the Starship, this is still in the testing phase. So they have the launch tower A that they've had built for a while, and they're completing the launch tower B as we speak. So they're going to have two different launch towers there that they're going to try to eventually use one to catch the booster, the other to catch the Starship. Those are going to be in later tests, but the big test that we're waiting for is going to be the orbital refueling. That's going to be the big one. Okay. We still have some time before that happens.
Real quick here, really good stuff. 6:30 Central Time, Perfect. Which is the Texas local time. That's when you're going to get your launch. RKLX here, your levered 2X long. Thank you, Crow, and good morning, Crow. This is a really good mention here. By the way, seeing some X call sweeps here. It's kind of interesting. They're a little bit smaller in size. Let me go back and filter that again. I think I refreshed without saving that, which was my problem. There was something else that I wanted to mention here real quick too. Okay, so a couple of you folks trading UNH. Looks like some of you are still long on that one. Who wins on the orbital refueling?
Well,
Alish asking if you switch to AMD or NVIDIA today, we cannot advise what you do with your portfolio. Tagging us and spamming the same question over and over will not get you an answer faster either.
Zach, when it comes to orbital refueling, it could be everybody that wins because that's the largest hurdle right now to making the space flights to Mars a possibility. So every company that's going to be involved with any project that goes deeper into space or maybe even to the moon is going to need to is going to benefit from orbital refueling capabilities, especially if they're large scale projects like establishing a foothold on Mars or even just sending Tesla robots there. I know that's been widely talked about. So it could be one of those everybody wins things because now we have the capability and the accessibility to go further into space, and every company that's already got a foothold in the space industry could advance from that.
Okay, good stuff.
Yep,
good stuff on that. Dugan saying everyone was my answer too. It is the real life first step into any true space operations.
100%.
One thing, this was one of the scientists on one of those recent Rogan podcasts who was saying this, and I think he was bringing up a really good point. Everything that we're talking about right now has to do with the getting to space step.
Yep.
This is step number one. Once we get to space, getting through space is an entirely different problem with entirely different solutions that we're going to have to work on there. So good stuff there. Good stuff up there. Yeah, Hal Putoff was one of them, but then it was the one right after that. I'll get his name. I actually should remember his name. I'm a bit embarrassed myself that I haven't remembered that.
Circle K needs an orbital refueling station. You know what? I'll go so far to say that maybe in like 50 years, when commercial space flight and literally going to space stations is more of a normal thing. I'm just kind of speculating, but if it is, it wouldn't surprise me to see some of these Earth-based companies be more space-based and expand out. Like you'll see Space Cola, Space Coca-Cola.
Space Cola. Oh, here we go, guys.
We're going there, folks. It's just I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetimes, but we're going there. We just need to get somebody through some of these big hurdles. And the exciting part for us is that we get to see these big hurdles happen in our lifetimes. So even if we're not going to be the recipients of all the benefits of everything that we're seeing right now, at least we get to see it all happen.
Real quick here, Crow, you had mentioned the Hal Putoff. The podcast that I was referring to is with Harold Sonny White. He's a physicist and aerospace engineer that's specialized in advanced propulsion, particularly warp drive. So, yeah, like I said, that was a good podcast. It was pretty heady, but that one was pretty good. Pretty good. By the way, Deckers, this may, you know what? Anne Marie, we might want to take a look. I'm going to just take notes here. I'm going to defer to you, but we might want to take a look at Deck here for building an options trade now that the binary event is out of the way. I'm sure we're also going to look at NVIDIA. But in any case, just kind of seeing this, just thinking about that. NVTS, this is a runner from last week back here to a 5 handle. Remember when we were trading this last week, it was the 5 breakout that we were really kind of looking for, and we couldn't quite get it. Watch 5 and 525 here. Oh, moonshine, man. Fermented on the moon would be awesome. I might buy that. I would be with you on that one.
We have to really call it lunar shine.
I'd be all about that. Try Space Coke. It's out of this world. I'm just getting it done. Just getting it done.
Oh man, I can't wait.
So here, Maud, there's too much space debris that could cause us to stay earthbound permanently. I'm going to take the other side of this. I'm going to say that there's a no chance on this one. I understand the very real space debris problem. You're absolutely right about that. But this, to me, is begging for a company to solve this problem, and I think this is a solvable one. I don't think that this is one where it's just too difficult. I think if you do get headlines about space debris impeding progress, this, that, and the other thing, that will be an entire another industry with companies that are going to try and solve that problem. So I don't want to sit here and say that we're going to be bound here permanently.
So Desert Mouse, basically, we're...
Really?
That's what Maudie does. If you've ever
this means Desert Mouse.
If you've ever watched the Dune movie,
no, I haven't. Yes. But so, there you go. Anyway, I appreciate you.
So he's right. There is a lot of space debris, but I don't believe that it's going to keep us earthbound. It's a big area that we have to get through, and I think the bigger threat with the space debris is that it's going to cause a lot more problems. Not so much getting to space, but staying in a certain orbit, like low Earth orbit or geosynchronous orbit. That could be the real problem. And to Ryan's point about there being a company coming along and wanting to create some kind of way of cleaning that up, that's an entirely possible proposition as well. What you're starting to see already is some spacecraft countries and companies, like the Chinese space station, they're already putting on debris shields. So they that's their solution, is to just protect their assets up there. Even though they're one of the largest producers of space trash, they just the solution is to just put shields up for now.
Shields up. Ryan isn't a Dune fan. No. But it's not out of dislike. It's just out of, I probably read one of those books years ago. I'm just not a huge, I should take a look at Dune, especially on your recommendation.
BBAI is getting flagged by Tom here. It says it's making moves.
TEM also making moves. Let's take a look here at BBAI.
CoreWeave new high, 119 even.
119.50, I think, was the CoreWeave spot. Here's your BBAI move. This is interesting because we did break above the recent double top that stopped us. 420 on deck now.
Lion says we can have all the space plays. He's happy on Earth. That's fine. I'd love to go to space once, but yeah, I don't know that I'd want to go to Mars.
And I've talked about this with some of my other friends as well. I'm 100% with Lion on this. Normally, I like to butt heads with Lion, but on this one, I'm 100%. Y'all can go to space. I'll stay right here. I'll stay right. You guys can have my ticket. That's totally fine. I'm fine. I'm happy on the Earth, just like Lion.
All right, here we go with CoreWeave, 119.48, 2 cents, and there's 119.50. There it is, to the T. The exact
Let's see if it gets above it here. I'll tell you what. Watch it pull right from here. Anne-Marie, you too, huh? Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll set up option trades, and we'll keep the Earth company while everyone else wants to blast off on rocket ships. I'll take gravity. Thank you. Yeah. Palo Alto might be moving higher here. I watched that. I do think that this is going to make a move to 200 here. By the way, Palo Alto. I've really wanted to load up on this, but just haven't.
Oh my goodness. Are we really getting some pullback from CoreWeave? Because if we hit that 119.50 exactly and then pull off this, whoever put that level out there has got a spicy lead on where this is all headed.
Well, so you're saying I should take this trade then, huh?
Well, I'm just saying.
I am so struggling with my keyboard today. It is not even funny. I mean, it's kind of funny.
Zena keeps going, says smoke tuna. That's Zena.
Let me ask you, if we do pull back here, how far do you think we could pull back?
On CoreWeave?
Yeah. Like we think this is 100, we think this is 105 level, because I'm looking at the chain here now, and I'll tell you something, this week's premium is jacked. I almost don't even feel great trading these. Man, oh man. I want cheaper contracts because I want to not care if I get blown up on the short.
I think I'd just stick with my $90 level, to be honest. Could it go lower? Sure. There might be some massive selling here, but I think it makes sense at 90. That could, at the very least, that's going to be a bounce level. And if it doesn't hold up, then I would just lean on the 20-day SMA.
90 puts for this week have a 55-cent ask right now. That is tell you what, the bulls are out in force here. It did stop exactly at that 119.50, and that I'm gonna come back to this. I'm gonna come back to CoreWeave, or I got a little bit of indecision right now, and I don't want that to affect my decision making. I'm gonna come back to that a little bit later here today.
United Health getting mentioned. That's it looks like it's about to lose 290. There it is.
Dugan here's I'm going to hit an all-time high on single day gains again here today. We're going to give that a register ring and a one up there. Dugan, you have absolutely been killing it recently. I don't want to hear that the market volatility removes opportunity. I don't want to hear that from anybody, because that is not the case. I heard that on the golf course over the weekend, and I got in that person's face. They were wrong, straight up wrong. Anyway.
Yeah, so United Health, depending on how we close today, we could end up with a bearish engulfing candle. So, and that would be on a daily, yeah. So if we, it looks like, I mean, we've talked about how this could potentially go lower after this bounce that we had back on May 15th. It's just probably going to take a little bit of time for it to get down there. I don't anticipate it being a highly volatile move to the downside, but more of just like a slow leak that we've been getting lately. This is as more news comes out and things kind of get worse. I think things are still going to get worse before they're going to get better with UNH.
You think we see one more final puke here? That would make sense. By the way, really quickly with engulfing candles, 13. I don't know how you sit on this. I'm not trying to pick a fight. And the candle here, you rolled your eyes like I was in big trouble. The candle here is indeed an engulfing candle here. For me, an engulfing candle takes the wicks. It's not just about an engulfing candle. Now it does that on UNH here. It does. So I'm not trying to dispute that, but I find that when that engulfing candle actually takes those wicks, I feel like you get more of a pronounced effect from that. This is just anecdotal for me, not necessarily right or wrong. I just wanted to mention that here real quick. Important to know, indeed, this is a bearish engulfing candle on UNH. We are also starting to get some volume accelerating here to the downside. Look out below. Engulfing, not golfing. By the way, folks, you'll be happy to know, actually you won't give a damn, but I'll mention it anyway. I think I found the vanity plate that I want to go for. It is indeed available. And when I tried to fill out the form for it, it said my car is leased, and my car is not leased. So I'm not sure how I'm going to correct that. Apparently there's some number that I have to call. Lord only knows how much hold time I'm going to have to sit on for that. But I think I've found one, and I can't give it out until I get it because it might get taken. So I just want to thank everyone out there. I put the call out for that. You guys helped a lot. It was fun. I'll let you know what happens.
Meanwhile, these space names are just doing really well. Redwire has gone on.
Redwire, I saw that. That was on the scanner 13. Redwire was ripping. And oh my God, this had new highs still.
Yeah.
LEU got mentioned earlier. That's ripping.
Yeah, so we're having a nice morning with these space names. They're just all doing really well.
NVTS, we're finally getting that delayed breakout after that NVIDIA news. 525, that spot to watch. Has anything good ever come after the phrase, I'm not trying to pick a fight? It's like, it's very much akin, Amanda, to, no offense, but now I'm going to offend you. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of say that and then it doesn't really do anything.
UEC that we were looking at earlier, this thing was
the uranium name. Yep.
Yeah, this was kind of leaking all morning. And then just recently in this 5-minute candle, we got a pop up to the VWAP. Just waiting to see if this is going to start to reverse or not. But the volume needs to be better if we're going to get back above VWAP and start trading over 7 again.
Jack's mentioning PDD. They reported earnings this morning, if I'm not mistaken, down 17% here. PDD holding shares trading lower after the company reported worse than expected Q1 financial results. Yikes. Good news here is that this did put in a bottom here at about 94.5 in the pre-market. Excuse me. That 94.5 actually lines up pretty good right in here with this low from January. Here's the thing on PDD. I do think you can trade this against 90. This $88 level here, I know it's beneath 90. Okay, trade it against 88. I actually think this is some pretty good support. The one thing is that we have a very, very clear downtrend here. I'm actually going to cut that a little bit. I'd be careful on PDD. This is a Chinese company. It's not P. Diddy, and it's not an oil company. It's not a baby oil company. Has nothing to do with Sean Combs or any of that stuff. This is PDD. This is a Chinese company. Anyone following that trial? Not. We shouldn't really talk about it here, but that trial, if you're following it, that is wild. Anyway.
Yeah. So
good idea. Just avoid it, dude.
Yeah. So anyway. Pinduoduo. So that's an awful EPS miss, like really bad. And then it seems like they I don't think they necessarily guided. They did comment on certain hardships they're having. They're blaming. They didn't specifically mention tariffs, but they're blaming an external environment and ecosystem investments for their profit plunge. So. It seems like they're just getting a combination of both outside and inside weakness, because and this could be like a big increase in their costs as well, because they can't all the different things have been put in place to prevent some of these products from reaching the U.S. and Europe. Now I know that you have the European Union that's put a parcel on certain items coming from China. With regard to the low the price point of these, and there's also been some kind of I forget what it was, but there's also been some kind of motion taken by the United States to prevent certain low priced products from reaching these shores too. So Pinduoduo getting hit really, really hard as a result of these tariffs, even though they're not saying that that's what's impacting them. Yeah.
No question. And I think that they're probably trying to not convey how much the tariffs are actually hurting. There seems to be a pocket of people that thinks China's going to win this. LOL. LOL. Brian says, he guilty AF, Ryan. Tell it how it is. Look, I'm not gonna tell it until the verdict comes out, but it don't look good. I'll tell you that much. I'm glad I was never in any area to meet a celebrity background. Man, oh man, it's just everything that's coming out of there. Like it's unbelievable. It's literally unbelievable. Just makes me shake my head. 3D, great to see you here this morning mentioning NVTS, and for good reason, because that's breaking out here. That 525 spot gone. I do think 6 would be your next target here. 6, that is. We do have a double top up here around 650. So 6 and 650 is what I would have next year. NVTS. Glad that they broke that 525 spot.
BBAI, that has been doing great ever since I forgot who mentioned it, but it's up to 429 now. Just been steadily climbing up this morning. A large concentration of sellers at 429, 430, and after that 437. So they can eat through all those. This could continue rising, but this is really starting to get a lot of concentration of sellers at these price areas.
Which one was this? Sorry,
BBAI.
Oh, Big Bear. The next Palantir, as it was once called. LOL. I'm not serious about that call, by the way. Okay. Also, I noticed while you were talking about BBAI, BuzzFeed, ticker BZFD, the preeminent leader in fake news, at least at one point, BuzzFeed enters a $40 million term loan provided by Soundpoint Agency, intends to use portion of the proceeds to repay outstanding convertible debts. Is this company trying to clean up the balance sheet and turn things around?
Let's see.
Diversified media company. I wonder what their angle is now. I haven't followed this since the implosion. But stocks ripping here. Volume looks pretty good. I would say day trade only on this one.
And that's for how much? 40 million? Okay. Well, what's interesting about that is that when you look at their current portion of long-term debt that's due in the next 12 months, it's 45 million. So maybe you're right. They're trying to get a loan so they can handle some long-term debt.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. I actually do remember seeing this. Vivek, I don't know what the stipulations are, so I don't want to speak to it. But yeah, he is involved in this. I think they are trying to turn that one around. We'll see. Okay, NVTS, is that still working here? Yep. Look at NVTS. 6 is my next target on that one.
And BBAI is still pushing higher. Still not above the levels we were just mentioning where those sellers are, but it's trying. It's right there. And it looks like
did we have a target here on BBAI? Did I miss a trend line or something on this?
No, I mean this thing has just been kind of straight up, but we could figure something out.
Well, I'll tell you what, this 437, what do we have at the high of this candle here? I think that was 437 exactly, actually.
I got
437 is your next high spot here.
Yep. Interestingly, you have a lot of sellers right there too. So those must be all the folks that bought at 437.
Yeah, you might be right. CoreWeave pushing 120 now on CoreWeave. Oh gosh.
I'll tell you what, if we get past 437, I would be watching 480. That's the level I have up here. We haven't reached it in some time. We haven't been up here since March. So since tariff or Liberation Day, haven't visited 480, but we've been trying to get back up there ever since. SBET at 38, fantastic. What a monster this thing is.
Around here, some other stuff. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. SBET, you were taking a look at?
Yeah, and the high of the pre-market's 38.99. And the high that we just said was 38 even. Looks like 38 is a potential breakout spot, but we're going to need better volume than this. CoreWeave, 120 and 66 cents now. 68 cents, 72 cents.
CoreWeave, just crazy move here.
And I don't know. I'm sorry. The short interest to CoreWeave, let's see here.
That's still climbing, I think.
The short interest is?
Yeah. SMR pretty good here.
It's 5. Well, and we need a new effective date because this one seems like
here. Let me get started on that real quick. Hang on a sec. You're right.
Yeah, because our last print was 5.58% with 1.5 days to cover. So that's a little bit of an outdated one.
Yeah, and you know what? Let me see if I can get that here because we actually
121 now
that data should be available.
and climbing. BBAI 434. Everything just on a tear right now. That consumer sentiment is really lifting the market right now.
Yeah, that's which is so strange too, because I heard the consumer is in big trouble and they don't want to do all this, but here we go with the print. Crazy. Crazy.
Let's see here.
How's Uber doing today? We don't have Izzy. He might be on vacation. Uber and Amazon, two stocks that we definitely want to take a look at there. Amazon also at the 205 highs here. So Uber, this actually looks very much like the SPY chart. SPY is trying to continue to go higher here, by the way. Amazon possible move higher here as well. Glenn, I'm still long Chewy. How we doing? How we doing on Chewy? That's been straight up, almost in the money on the second batch of calls here, which would be awesome.
Yeah, I think you could be right about that, Christopher. It looks like it does want 40. Looks like it could. Well, so let's do this, Ryan. What do you think? We do a little trend line here. Now let's use the impulse move high that we got from 805 this morning and draw it through that 38.99 high, and I think that could be the indication of where this next move could take the price before we really start.
All right, so we're doing impulse move high through pre-market high, and this trend line gives us our target.
Yep.
Bang, bang, bang.
We could end up just going there right now. We're getting a little bit of a spike here. It's spreading out. Here comes 40. There it is. Well done on that, Chris. Now let's see if we can get to the top of this trend line here. It's going right now. Jesus Christ. Woo. So over 40 now. It's looking for 41. The high is 40.88. Is it not going to get there? Well, either way, that $40 target that Chris mentioned was perfect.
AI is saying that S3 Partners reporting that CoreWeave short interest went from 18% in April to 45% in May. Well, so I think a lot would depend on where they're going or how they're calculating that. The May print that I have from early May was just 6%. So again, I'm not sure how they're computing that 18%. There might be something else in there. I will try and get us an update though. CoreWeave continuing to march higher here, 121.
Yeah, that was so we are getting a pull here on SBET after hitting 40.97. Just a little shy of the that trend line that we had just drawn, which I think if we did end up getting up to there in that candle, would have made it about just around 42.90. So about $1 away from that actually hitting that that trend line after this really nice move over the past 20 minutes. Lion, are you referring to the consumer sentiment? Because if you are, I think I'd be on board with that. It's I don't know if that how I can look at that and not think the numbers are somehow manipulated.
Which one?
The consumer confidence print.
So it's funny because if you recall from last week, Jay Rice was talking very much about this, and he was talking about that Michigan consumer sentiment number that shows the opposite of this, how dirty that number is, how dirty that collection of that number. I actually read something else about that fairly recently. So it's just interesting. The numbers are going to be battling back and forth. That's for sure.
No, hey, Daniel, you and Christoph and a lot of other people that are on SBET, you guys have been killing it today. You guys gave great levels. I hope a lot of people today made money off SBET. This thing, I mean, we nailed this one. We were talking about how this could be a really good mover this morning. It has been exactly that. Hasn't gone in these super high exponential halt fest moves, but this has been really, really good trading.
Aeon, AEON, that's going to be your penny stock du jour. That's at the highs. I'm not sure about that. Eat It, Gene Editor. This is another one that's got a pretty decent rip. This is almost a penny stock, but I'll tell you what, this actually puts in some pretty good moves. This not a bad one to have targeted for any of that gene editing stuff. Didn't see any news on this here today. Here's Vuzi. We talked about this one, right? This is the smart glasses.
Yeah.
This looks like some resistance up there at 280.
So
Vuzi?
I'll take a look at Vuzi in just a second. I wanted to take a quick look into what's going on here with AEON Biopharma, Aeon Biopharma. Looks like there's been some insider buying by the by, I don't know if this is a 10% owner or not, Jost Fisher.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Fairchild hit me with the laugh. Oh, that's good, Fairchild. +1 on that here. You get a Chewbacca for that one.
Yeah, okay, so it looks like Jost Fisher is a director, and they have, just been buying. I don't see anything else with regard to insider transactions aside from grants and maybe a 10% owner selling back in 2023. But this is the first time that we've been seeing buying in this company from insiders, and that started last week on the 21st and the 23rd, and they were buying. Not huge in the millions of size, but this is the first time that we've seen back-to-back buying in this company from an insider. So that could be something worth watching here.
NVTS HOD, did we get our 6 target yet? Nope. But it's going there. 3D, good mention on this one. OKLO, Chris, you're trading this long. Were you short this one earlier on the pop? I have trouble remembering. Oh, come on, Ryan. Click on the right things, damn it. Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, this really struggling to get above 51. Looking for 50, 65 on Oklo long. Thank you, Chris.
So it looks like when it comes to Vuzix, this already had a high short interest. It was about just under 22.5% with 13.4 days to cover. And then they have this announcement here today that they are set to join the Russell 2000 and 3000 indexes or indices. However you want to say it. So interesting because this doesn't, I don't think they're profitable. They do have revenue, but they're not profitable. So this is one of those many small caps that are going to be rate sensitive. It is setting up nicely, though. It does have a nice formation on the 5-minute, looking like it wants to go higher. And I have a trend line here that I drew from, gosh. You want to draw a really big trend line, Ryan? On
Oklo?
No, on Vuzix.
On Vuzix? You know what? I don't think I have enough trend lines on Vuzix.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, so mine starts in 2021, but if we could ignore that because this still uses some trend lines from recent memory.
Why would we ignore that? I mean, I've got it.
Oh, you have it. Oh, perfect. Then use the high. The high of highs, yes.
The high of highs, the highest of highs.
And now draw it through January from this year and keep it going.
Right here, right?
Yep.
Let's zoom in and see how good of a job I did. Looks damn good.
Close. We're getting pretty close. So I'd like to see this trend line get taken out. And that would give us a high RSI to where we would have to come back in and let it cool off. If we do that, we're going to want to see a back test on the upside of this trend line. And then the next level we would be watching for after that, if it holds, is $4.
Lion, look into how they craft those 100 people on that Michigan consumer sentiment number. Look into that. That'll make your head spin. QBTS long 1750. Well, I'll tell you what, at least this thing didn't plummet down to 14.5, so I don't have to really be pissed about my position that expired last week. It's actually, maybe it'll keep bouncing from here. We'll see.
Did you? I'm just looking at Google right now because it did get back over its 200-day SMA, and we're trading above it. So let's see if we can get a close above it. But did you happen to take a look at that VEO3 software that they?
No, that was the one that you had said is. So wait a sec. I think I saw a clip of that after you sent that to me.
Yeah.
I think I saw someone posted a clip online that and it basically uses like it can adapt AI to do anything, right? Say it in a voice that looks good. It basically you could shoot an entire movie with that. It sounds like.
It's looking like it's good. It could easily. I mean, at the very least, you're probably going to start seeing commercials using this because you basically can type an entire prompt into this VEO3 AI, and it will give you an entire scene.
Yeah, I'll tell you something.
Voice,
If VEO3 can give me something better than the stupid Jardiance commercial that I have to listen to every day, I'll be okay with it. All right, we could start there. Let's get rid of some of the shitty commercials that are on there. Sorry for my language.
It'll be a weird transition. I think you'll notice when it's AI and when it's not, but it could. I mean, they're charging people. I think it's $250 a month for it, which is a lot cheaper than hiring actors and going through an entire production to make a commercial. So I think this could be the first step to seeing Hollywood take a real meaningful hit. We'll see.
Teamsters won't let any movie or commercial being shot with AI. We'll see if they have that type of strength in there.
I'd be really curious to see how that ends up shaping up. But you could be right.
Redwire here, new highs. That was a comment from Kevin from the chat. Okay. Redwire, new highs here. BBAI looks like that is continuing as that put in new highs here. How are we doing on NVTS, our other little runner here today? Whoa, I clicked on the wrong stock there.
You could be right about that too, Joseph. I mean, when I looked at, I think everybody should take a look and see what VEO3 can do. Like, just look at some of the videos and you make that decision for yourself.
I will. 13. I had just a ton of food, golf, and Buddy actually. So my mom has a kitten now, and Buddy got to meet the kitten for the first time this weekend. And I'll be honest with you. I was worried that he was going to kind of like manhandle this poor little cat. I couldn't believe it. He was so well behaved. Oh my goodness!
Well, because his name is Buddy, not Bully.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Although Buddy is his name, he does sometimes act like a little Trump. He sometimes acts like a bully. But that's normally when he's hungry. Anyway, NVTS to the highs here. I know, Mama Bear, look at this. I still think 6 is possible for this. Call me crazy, but I still think 6 is possible. QBTS looks like it found support at the pre-market bottom from Friday. 17 going to be your downside level of note here. Jonathan mentioning that Bitcoin is pulling back. That pulled off the 111,000 morning high here, pulled off 2,000 points.
Even Kathy's making that reminds me. Let's look at that. Archer's up after it was pulling back. So that's nice. 1111 is the current price. Got as high as 1142, 1143. Still not back up to the highs where it was near 14 earlier this month, but trying to find a bottom. There was something else I wanted to take a look at.
Yeah, I'm looking through some stuff here too. See anything? Let's see what Twitter is giving us. Anything? I don't see anything crazy here on Twitter today.
Probably, Joseph. Probably. Oh, Zim. That's what I was looking, because I think I was reading.
Here, I'm gonna put Zim on screen, and I'm gonna step away for just 1 sec. 13. I'll give you an intraday here real quick. Lion, I'll take a look at Coney here in a sec. You guys are talking about film. Okay, BRB, 1 sec.
Yeah, I'll have to look into this some more and come back with more information. But I recall reading that there was an article about how somebody thought that shipping rates may come back up. So I'm going to have to find out what that was. And if that's the case, that would be good for Zim, because their income is heavily based on shipping rates. And I don't know that they're still trying to negotiate any more contracts right now. That typically happens in the first and second quarter. So they may still be doing some more. But after that, typically don't get negotiation for contracts for them until next year. So we'll see. But I'll have to find that information. And it's interesting. And I'm only mentioning this because I'm looking at the chart and we're coming down to a support area. I have that at 1736. We get support from that, we could see a reversal in the price of Zim. And we would want to be seeing that 200-day SMA get taken out thereafter. So I'll come back to you with some more of that before I saw that. But if shipping rates are going to be on the rise at some point soon, I think this would be the company to watch for. Take care, Rich. Have a good one. Kathy, you're mentioning LVWR. What is this? LVWR. That's Livewire. And this is getting a nice move after having based at around $1 for the past pretty much the entire month since about the 7th of May. So we're getting a recapture of the 20-day SMA, coming up to some consolidation, which is interestingly in the same spot as about the 50-day SMA. So that's what I would kind of be watching for. Some resistance is that 175 price, which is right where the 50-day SMA is. 15 cents away from it. I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up hitting that. Whether or not we break through, don't know, but I don't think we will. Maybe that happens tomorrow. We'll look at Tesla. It's halted. Let's see here. I'll take a deeper look then. Okay. So this is what? Is this the second halt? Was that first one, that first big candle that we got through VWAP, was that the first halt and then it opened and this is the second halt? Because if that is, and that's a bullish looking candle, we might see that 175 out of this halt. GNK, great dividend in the shipping space. That is Genco Shipping and Trading. They pay a 4.5% dividend at this price. They do have sales, but it doesn't look like, well, it looks like they are profitable as of their last earnings report. Let's look at their financials a little bit more closely. I don't think that we are, no, maybe they're not. It says their EPS was 49 cents versus the 25-cent loss that they were looking for, but doesn't look like their the balance. I'm sorry, their income statement is still saying that they took a loss that quarter. They also slashed their dividend by half, so that's not good. But it's still strong enough to get an investor attention, right? So marine transportation. So this could be still a good shipping stock. Where does this company operate out of? Because I don't know all the. I mean, this is another China-built ship, right? So it could be subject to fees at U.S. ports. Is this also operating in dry bulk? Do they do containers? Do they do natural gas or any liquids, like where there would be a tanker, or is it just mostly dry bulk? Here we go. LVWR is open. There's 174, 175. You got it. 175, and now it's backing off. I hope that worked out for you. Right to 175. So hold view up though. This might, I mean, if it holds view up, maybe there's some more in it. But man, right to 175, that 50-day SMA, and it pulled right off. So some sellers are out. This is still getting bought up. Now it's going. Which one? This is LVWR.
By the way, SBET went right to your trend line there. Sorry, I had to take a very quick phone call. But this is crazy. The trend lines have been crispy. It's working again.
Oh yeah, look at that. Right to 4403.
Okay, take care of yourself, Judge. Good to see you here. Take a look at Coney. Lion, you were asking me to take a look at Coney that pays a 65-cent dividend every month. Your yield max coin. Okay. So this is the ETF here for coin. It's actually is pretty decent chart too.
So Livewire pops up to $2 exactly comes back down, looks for 175 as support. Don't know where this goes. I was thinking that 50-day SMA would probably be it, but it's looking like it's still having a time trying to stay above it. So, but at 175, that's going to be support as long as we're above the price right now.
Here's your LVWR. Boy, did you guys catch this one or something?
It was halted. We were looking at potential trade here, and I saw that the 50-day SMA was at 175, and that also looked like an area where there was consolidation, like the bottom area of it. So I thought 175 might be where we end up getting that resistance. Initially, it did, and then we just popped right through it and ripped up to $2. Haven't been any higher than $2 though. Now 175 is support. So if we lose 175, this thing might just end up coming back in, and that's all she wrote for now, anyway.
Good stuff there. Let's see. CDC stops recommending COVID vaccine for kids and pregnant women. It's about time. I don't see any of the vaccine makers getting hit on that. That's good news. Amanda here saying, more good news. Good news, guys. I passed my yearly active shooter training, which is super relevant since I work from home. Well, good news, Amanda.
Are they calling it that?
What?
I thought active shooters were something that get. I don't even want to go down that road.
You'll have to ask her for some more context. I'm just congratulating her on passing a shooting exam.
No, that's great.
Really awesome. Actually, I should have done that this weekend. That would have been one way I could have made Memorial Day weekend a little bit better. Yassine is short SBET. Wow.
Well, I mean, we did get that trend line hit, but we'll see if it pulls now.
So, Yassine, here's what I would like to know. So you're shorting right up here at the trend line, which makes an absolute ton of sense. Stock is up 557%, so a pullback might be coming. That also makes sense. My follow-up question, what is your plan in case this doesn't work? I got to assume you don't want to be exposed to 100% risk on something like this. There we go. 45 coming here. SBET. Yassine, let me know what the get the hell out of the way plan is in case this thing doesn't cooperate.
Yeah, I think for me, SBET, I mean, and this is where I would have been out, was on that hit of the trend line, because after 3, that's when I would ring the register and be good with it. If it wants to rip and go higher, then it's just, popcorn.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking for his trade. If he's short it, like I understand doing it at the trend line, but at what point do you throw the towel in on that?
I don't know. I think let's see what happens over the next 10 minutes here, because we've just got a print of 45 even, and it doesn't look like the volume's really expanding that much more. So if it starts to
look at this, Yassine, I think we might be cheering you.
Yeah. So
Yassine, dude,
it could be like this candle and then one more candle after that kind of does more of this upper shadow prints, and then we start to see that fall.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, if this pays and Yassine called this short live here, let's go. Yassine says his stop point is 47. Yassine, I think you got a plan here. It sounds to me like you're ready to go here. Amanda saying, I'm the only one with the key to the gun cabinet, so unless the cats learn to turn keys, I'm relatively safe. I'm not even joking right now. I have a little cabinet on my floor that I store some stuff in, and my cat has turned the key on it. I left the key in the slot, and he pushed it with his paw and turned it. I'm not even kidding. That actually happened. There's no gun in it, though.
SBET is squeezing shorts. That's why I was like, let's wait and see what happens with this candle and the next one.
Okay.
So this is squeezing shorts.
This will show you why. This shows you why it's difficult to short. Voodoo, hello. Good to see you again.
And I wouldn't be in this, and I'd be missing out on it. But I think my rule of just sticking with that 3 hits on that trend line is all I'd want, because I don't want to be a participant in whatever pull is going to come from here from this point. And maybe this continues to go up. Could do that too. If it is, let's have some levels ready to go. So SBET, we were talking about some other levels earlier this morning.
Yassine, he said he's safe. He bailed on it. That's fine. Real quickly here, my cat turns the water on in the sink. Does he turn it off? That's going to be more importantly. Joe reminding us that when the cats start using firearms, we're in serious trouble. Can't argue with that. CoreWeave is turning around.
Catling guns.
Catling gun. Oh, good lord! What, dude? CoreWeave, by the way, it looks like 121 there. Kind of stopped it.
Around the 53 to 54 area might be where the next area I'd be looking for really good resistance at. Just because this thing, it looks like it could continue to push up into that particular area. I also had a weekly. Let's see. Hold on a second here. I thought I had a weekly level for this as well. Give me 1 second. Yeah, 69. I remember we talked 69 as a potential stupid level for SBET.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So if we get through that 53 to 54 area, then 69 would be the one after that. So there you go. Oh, well, I tried, Mike. I was trying to think of how I could come up with a clever firearm name that was involved felines.
Yeah, when the cats learn how to use AI prompts, that's when we're really in trouble. Man, oh man! If Buddy could use AI prompts, my Chewy order would be insane.
Cat AI.
It would be insane. I'd have to long Chewy just to offset the amount of money my cat would order from that. NVTS broke. Hey, wow. How about that 6 call on NVTS? Looks like we're almost there. Like a sig meower. Oh, that is so good, Fairchild. That's so good, Fairchild. LOL, Fairchild. That was well done. Looks like we're driving Mike insane here, which means we're doing something right. I'm going to laugh if NVTS goes to 6. 3D, let me know if you have a sell target on NVTS on that trade. Or is this a short-term trade, longer-term trade? Nonetheless, this one's working here. That's pretty good. FAAS, that came back in. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer.
Been a good start to this week so far.
BuzzFeed started higher here. We ride.
Anyone in IDNS thinking about it? It broke above $5 today.
IDN?
Let's see here.
I'm not in that one.
Okay. Now, do you have like a kind of like a $6 level or maybe just underneath $6 for this one? Because that's like on a weekly chart, that's kind of what stands out the most to me. Let me look at a smaller time frame here. Like
Matt or Mike telling us that a catapult is another awesome cat weapon.
Yep.
Mike. Oh, Mike. Love it.
Driving Hellcats and whatnot.
We have Hellcat in here. That's not even a joke.
Linus saying TD Ameritrade is still giving.
No, TTD. That's not TD Ameritrade.
Sorry,
that's the trade desk.
Sorry. You're right.
It's okay. It's okay. AMTD, I think, used to be Ameritrade's ticker. The big thing here, don't forget, guys and gals, if you missed TTD, actually 13, now that I'm looking at this, can you just tell me if this is a cup and handle?
I was looking more of the bull flag, cup and handle, like.
Okay, so hang on. I don't want to muck it up too much. The bull flag's a really good one. So a couple of things. If you missed TTD off the bottom, I wouldn't worry because you do have a potential move above 85, 86. That gap fills up to 120-ish. All right, so I don't know if you're going to get that move in one foul swoop, but there is still another setup here. Now 13's talking about the bull flag here. That's going to be your flag pull and then your flag, and this is actually trying to break higher. I think this goes higher. I think you're right.
I could see how this could be like a cup and handle, but to me, when I want to look for cup and handles, I want to see like the left side of the cup being made from a run up into a high. and then coming off of that and creating like the rounding bottom that's going to create the other side of the cup. This coming off the high, it looks like it could be. So if you want to try and trade it that way, that's fine. I'm more focused on the bull flag, setting up to run for the 500-day SMA. This looks like it's gonna go over 80, or at the very least have another 80 visit.
Okay, I am Lion. I'm going to join you here. I'm nibbling here as of today. Starter position here, the trade desk, the July 90 contracts. They're not expensive. 120 is the cost there. So 52 days till expiry, $90 strike TTD.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if we get that here. 90 is going to be in the gap too. If we get in that, this could really accelerate. Nibbled on that a little bit. Just a starter position. We'll add if it comes in and holds.
Yeah, I think you might end up seeing an 80 print here. Whether or not we break through that 80 resistance that we had just had earlier this month and go higher the 500-day SMA, that's what I'm not sure about. But I think we're going to see 80 again.
Graph, looks like you're in on that TTD trade. Okay. All right. Initiating a new swing here. Maz Ruhr asking, hi, Ryan. You have a list of the tickers backing crypto theme as some we traded here. So no, I haven't. There is a number of stocks on that list, but I haven't been making that list, Maz Ruhr. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't have them off the top of my head. Somebody else might.
Take care, Kevin. And I think it's about that time.
It is.
We need to bring on the wonderful Anne-Marie. Folks, it's a great morning. Hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I had a lot of fun coming back here, and let's do this again tomorrow. We'll find some more movers. Hopefully, we'll find ourselves another one of these core weave moves that we got, and we'll trade that as well, and SBET and all that good stuff. So tune in tomorrow. We'll have some fun, and I'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Sounds good, 13. Honestly, last night I was exhausted from the Memorial Day weekend, and I was like, I cannot wait to get back to the group tomorrow. I know I'm tired here. I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to admit this. I was asleep by like 9:30 yesterday. Asleep by 9:30, up at 4:30, rearing and ready to go. 13, really good stuff here. Let's bring on Anne-Marie Ban. Anne-Marie, how are you doing? How was your extended weekend?
Good. I also felt a little tired, but did sleep most of the afternoon yesterday. So I'm catching up with my sleep debt.
So it's funny because yesterday afternoon, I had done some stuff in the morning. I was kind of just recovering from the weekend. And in the afternoon, I was like, oh, shoot, I am not going to hit my step target. And I have an 18-day step streak going right now. There's no way I'm going to let that get broken. So I forced myself back out there. That might have what did me in later on that night, Anne-Marie. But I woke up, felt great here today. What do you got for us except for this extremely green heat map?
Right. So this heat map really tells us right now we are very risk off. And
risk on or risk off?
Risk on. Risk
okay.
on. Excuse me. Nobody's thinking about risk today. It's just grinding higher. I had a couple of things I wanted to look at, but I also took some notes from what you have. The first thing I want to look at is Fair Isaac. That's really sitting in, I mean, it's a glaring thumb. And we don't normally trade this one, FICO, but let me show you the chart. That's my Tesla chart. Sorry about that.
All good.
Let's go to FICO. And so it was down 8% into the open, but that big fat round number around 1800 is giving it a floor, but this is its second week of fading past the earnings, and it really is showing a particular breakout area. So if you're looking for something to just give you a little bit of a punch for saying, hey, listen, I'm going to let this erode. I'm going to see that it holds its formations. The chart has 206 points for the implied vol move, but that gets very expanded when a chart starts sitting at its low. And that low I like right around 1400 to 1390, which is the last real weekly breakout zone. The momentum is, I mean, it's certainly negative, but it's not glaringly negative like these guys. And so my thought is if you're looking for something to just pay you a little bit over time, this iron condor that expires in June with the strikes of 1700 to 1720 and 1400 to 1380, $2,000 of total risk margin,
Hmm.
but it does give you a very nice $1,400 cushion. So the big fat volatility area, when that's way outside what it normally is, gives us a shot at a bounce zone that could be nice. You can see that price jumping around all over the place. I would try to get this at about 11 to $12 of a credit. That gives us almost half the size of the spread,
Hmm.
and it gives us, we don't have to hold it for too long. It's 24 days. And so we could see a really nice compression of volatility here as it holds the floor. If you're a little bit more cautious and you're thinking to yourself, where I don't know what Fair Isaac said. I mean, they beat earnings, but whatever news came out 3 weeks later is giving up the entire move into earnings, but still holding a really nice floor at support. And so if you want to wait, you could wait and say, all right, I'm just going to see if this chart behaves towards the end of the week. You can easily put an alert there to around $1,430, and you can wait on it, or you can get into the trade, watch the bounce. It is coming off the floor right now uh, as the market is bouncing. So maybe wait until the end of the day and see how the
Okay.
price action holds. But it looks like a really, really pretty trade.
And actually, it looks like that credit there has really kind of swung. That was down into the nines
I
when you were
know.
showing it before. Now it's up here at 13. So, okay. So you're basically looking to fill this condor and then hope that the price stays between those strikes.
Exactly.
What are you doing if that doesn't happen? I'm just asking because it
Okay,
seems like a
perfect.
fairly expensive stock here.
Yeah. So, what's really nice about this one is that it's sitting at a floor of really important support. And so, just before the volatility compresses, it's at its greatest. And that's where it's sitting right
Gotcha.
now. And so, here's the break even would be at, let's say you got it for 13. The break even would be $1,387 less commissions. So if you want to say, hey, I'm going to look and leave this at a break even price. If it gets to 1380, I'm going to get out of the trade. If that happens in a couple of days, it'll be a little bit of a nick. It won't be
Hmm.
a big chunk. You might lose $300, but the credit and the delta is, it was less than 1% a minute ago. So there's a 1% chance that this trade goes against us and
Seems pretty
expires
good.
in the money. So it's
Okay.
a really nice setup. It's a really, really nice setup. So
Okay.
wait
Cool.
until the end of the day and see what it gives you.
Sure.
Okay, so deck post earnings event. I know how much you love Deckers. I know.
Yeah. Well, what these Hokas and Uggs, right? Is Decker's thing. The Hoka shoes I chew up, and I never understood Uggs to begin with.
Yeah, they're fairly ugly. That's
Putting it
what you
mildly.
get. Yeah, I think if you're an influencer, you get to see just how much power you have over the media trying to be, or or over viewers that are trying to be like you. So I took the wave that gave us a swing high and swing low of times past,
Mm-hmm.
and it gave us a clear break, retested this area, and came down to the 150%. So it tells me that this wave is a good measure of what might be happening with price. That being said, it looks like a base might be forming right here, and the bounce up could give us a rise into a very downward moving average. If we go to a daily chart, waiting. If we go to a daily chart, we can see that if we choose the swing high, whoopsie, the swing high of 223 to the swing low, it shows us that that 50% range isn't all the way until, that's not even until 158. So my suspicion is that this stock is trapped below the gap down at 122 and the floor at 94. So the question is, does it have the ability to bounce in this environment when this is showing a potential bottom? So the answer might be yes, but the answer could also be no. So what do you do there? For me, I like this iron condor into July. Now, the delta is 19, so we've got a 19% chance that this expires in the money, but the floor of 80 is well below the floor of 94, so I'm giving it a chance to break even lower and then pop back up. The 110 area, you might go, geez, Emery, that's awfully close to where price is right now. And you could say yes, right? However, the trend is clearly negative, from particularly from a weekly formation. And if we're going to do something into July, we definitely want to look at the larger trend that shows the downside pressure. Now, if you're bullish on Deckers, that might give you a little bit of heartburn. And so, you know, I mean, I really suspect that this gap here at this 110 to 114 area, and even the monthly opening bar at 110, is going to give this chart some trouble overall. And that's why I picked 110.
Okay.
But if you're bullish, there is the 100 to 110 to 120 call. It's a little bit expensive if you're looking at July, but if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I think this chart is going to recover 120 because I like Deckers, right? Maybe that's what you're thinking. And so you can do the 120 to 130, gives you plenty of room, all the way up to 140, gives you into July for recovery, and it's only $1 with $1,000 of upside.
10 to 1 doesn't seem bad on that, honestly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure. Especially if you think, hey, listen, this chart has a very big base. And I don't know how many ETFs Deckers is sitting in. It's probably sitting in a fair bit of ETFs, you know. So it's certainly worth it, and easily you can see why that number might work
yeah.
coming up into the range, up into that space. And if you're a betting man, you can do the short put and the long call butterfly, and you'll be able to give yourself a little bit more upside room.
It sure looks like the price is forming a pretty decent double bottom at, like, what was that,
Yeah,
94 that it looked like it had? So
yeah,
that actually looks good. I mean,
yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Did you have anything else that you wanted?
There were a lot of them that I was writing down while you were talking. What would you like to look at?
Shayla Vega here saying, what about retail overall? I did a long call on Target after the drop, but now I'm not sure. Might take forever to bounce. The whole sector feels weak, not just Target. So
I'm
I
going to have to
guess,
agree with you.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, Target was the example she gave. I don't know if you see a trade here on Target.
So Target is trying to recover, but I don't know if you've been to a Target lately. The last time I was in a Target, there was nobody in there. Of course, might have been the time of day, it might have
Mm-hmm.
been whatever. And that's just, a heuristic. You can see that from the weekly formation, they really are trying to hold higher lows, right? And so the break here gives it a potential. And we know a lot of ETFs hold Target. Let's take a look at XRT. Isn't that's a retail,
Yep. XRT is the retail one.
right?
Yep.
And so it looks exactly like Target.
Sure does.
I mean, exactly like Target. So the question might be, yeah, I mean, it could be. It's, to me, so much of the market looks sideways, right? I feel like we're sitting in a space where no matter what big bounces we get, we retrace and try to stabilize, and no matter what big fades we get, we bounce and try to stabilize. And I think that's because there are just so many known unknowns. So, I don't let's see if there's anybody big moving around in Target. No.
Yeah, doesn't look like it.
Yep.
Not today, anyway.
Yeah, for
C-
sure.
cut
So it's
couple
it's a
of
quiet
comments.
space. Yeah.
Sorry, couple of comments here for Target. Target just changed back to cashiers from self checkout because customers were stealing too much. Go figure. TJ
Wow.
Maxx over Target. So maybe TJX, if you don't see anything great here in this chart, TJX chart might give us a better trade setup. And to answer your question, Anne-Marie, I actively avoid Target. I literally try not to go there.
Yeah. Same.
Zahur here saying, I agree. I don't go to Target. I'm thinking out loud. Target could be the next Kmart or Sears. Who knows?
Yeah. They've made a lot of missteps in the
They sure have.
C-suite.
That CEO is at the top of them.
Yeah. That C-suite has been a mess.
Yep.
Wow. Target certainly looks a lot better than
TJX. Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, TJX looks a lot better than yeah, the dips are certainly buys. The question is, do you want to jump in here when we have a topping formation engulfs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 weeks of prior motion? Uh, to me, that looks like a pullback. That looks like a bounce at the top of the range is going to give me more selling pressure in general.
Okay.
I don't love that one in terms of upward trajectory.
Okay.
We
Boy,
could,
it keeps rolling here on Target. I kind of hate Target. Not great volume, better underlyings to trade. Target is just kind of cheap crap, in my opinion. I completely agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
for sure. Hey, let's
and
take
for
a
you,
look.
probably went to Target at 7 a.m. It would
Yeah,
probably be pretty not busy at 7 a.m.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah, and they're not wrong. So let's take a look and see what Elon might be able to do with his monster machine, getting back into the throes of it. For folks who are the diehard Tesla fans, him coming back to the space is really terrific. Right now, what could happen is a variety of things, and they do have a number of problems ahead. Again, to me, this looks like a really big range. And so, I would take the short iron condor here, 410 to 420, 300 to 290. I'd use June. They've got about a $50 spread that they've priced in. So we are right in that space. Either it gets to, 300 or so, or it moves to 410 or so. That's right at the edges. And so, based on the volatility, based on what I suspect the price action to do, I would do the short iron condor here.
Okay.
Now, if you are bullish on Elon and you're thinking, well, wait a second, it's 350. If he's there and he's going to make an impact, how about we try for getting to the base here at 380 and going to, 400? And so that's why I've got the call butterfly here. So if you took
Okay.
both of them, the call would be financed by the iron condor, and both of them could be winners. So,
Cool. I like those trades. I feel like a
yeah,
lot has to go
when,
right, but I like those trades.
yeah, and when they both go right, it's great. Now, again, butterflies have very low probabilities of expiring at the middle strike,
Hmm.
and that's what this delta says. But look at the delta for the iron condor. You've got 99% from a volatility perspective that you're going to sit right in this range. So, I certainly like those odds.
Okay. Okay, really good stuff there on Tesla. We got plenty of time for some more. Yassine
Yeah,
was asking about Autodesk. Did we end up doing that last week? Did we do an ADSK trade? I didn't put it on if
it
we did it.
looks like we might have.
Yeah, I think we did talk about this on Friday of last week, would be my
Yes.
right, because we had the
Yeah, that
earnings
was the
out of the way.
glitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the glitch
Oh,
there with
right.
the
That's why I don't. Oh, that did we? Let me
yes,
ask
we were
you, did we finish covering this or was that
no,
in the
we
middle
did
of this?
not.
Well,
We
why
were in
don't
the
we do
middle
that?
of it.
That's perfect.
Yes. All right. So let's take a look at Autodesk. What do they do?
Let me actually pull that up for you. And I wanted to say that this was the earnings were Thursday after hours, right? Let me just correct. Let me confirm. Yes, that is confirmed here. Autodesk, application software company that serves industries in architecture, engineering, construction, product design, manufacturing, and media and entertainment.
Well, that sounds like
Autodesk
a lot of
software
word salad.
Autodesk software enables design, modeling, and rendering needs of these industries.
Ah, gotcha.
4 million paid subscribers across 180 countries.
Okay, wow. All right. And so let's see how they did. They beat earnings. Um, they're a little off the earnings high, but they're holding pretty nicely, right? They're holding pretty nicely. It's in a very broad, uh, narrowing wedge, a broad space of time
Mhm.
in a narrowing um, wedge. So it's getting ready to have a significant kind of break. It's got higher lows, and just recently it started making lower highs. It's also in a broadening downside wedge here. So there's a lot of cross current, right? So if we're thinking to ourselves, okay, if it's got a lot of cross current, I've got an upward slow moving average, a downward to flat fast moving average, and a fair bit of bullish pressure holding. We could pick one side or the other just so long as it doesn't lose 275. I say that would be the alert you'd need to set yourself on. Oh, Do I already have it? Yeah. Wow. That must be a new thing. I don't know which click I clicked, but all of a sudden it gave me that number. Good for me. So 275 is what we would want to look to make sure, but that's almost $25 away. So, what are the different ways that we can look at this? Again, here's the iron condor because I suspect this wide, clunky range. 315 to 325 on the top side, 275, 265 on the long side, on the short side. It gives us just a little bit over the $2 minimum that I like to look for. That's where I'm looking for this. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, and this was the May 30th one, so let's expand this. Let's go to June 6th. Let's say over the next couple of weeks, the price holds traction. It gets up over 300 and into 310. Now, you might say, why don't we position it further away so the butterfly is cheaper? Here's the reason. We've got a topping formation right at 310. And so if the chart collides into that area, it's pretty likely to give back just a little bit of it. And since we have a short-term trade, that might be the better bet. You might say, wow, that's a really expensive butterfly. Yes, but the upside event is much more likely because we're in trend, we're holding the base, it's holding the region where it reported from, and in general, it's got some lift underneath it with positive momentum. So that would be the reason that I would choose that one. And again, this is the kind of trade that both of these could make money. You can make money on the butterfly, you can go all the way to 310. And this can stall into the 20th of June, and you get that entire credit as well.
Yeah.
So you're positioning with a neutral event and a positive event, and they can both work.
Okay. Cool. A couple of things here regarding Autodesk. CAD Monkey, go figure. I keep track of the cues in AutoCAD. Again, that comes from CAD Monkey, so I guess that's right on brand. Amanda here mentioning that they are the second best in the CAD software space. Who's the first? Does Siemens do it, or is it some company like Oracle or Siemens that we're not thinking about? Let us know who the first is. And Anne-Marie, we've got 5 more minutes here. I think we ought to do another one. If you've got one
Sure.
do you have one that you want to do, or should I suggest one?
You can suggest one for me. I looked at Oklo, but we've already covered that.
Yep.
I looked at here's the thing with Rocket Lab.
RKLB. Let's do it. We definitely haven't done one of those before.
Yeah, and so this one it's got an attack of the zoomies because they're getting ready to go zoomies. And so my suspicion would be there's going to be a fade post event and then a potential new bounce. And so what I was thinking here, and it's disappeared. So what I was thinking here was the fade.
Order filled.
Hey, order filled. Let's go. Oh, one more thing to keep in mind here. I don't know if it's going to work for the options, but there are also these ETFs like RKLX, which are the levered Rocket Lab ETFs. I don't know if we should build a trade on that, but that's something to consider if you want more of that juice.
2x long. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
No
They didn't have options. I figured it was going to be something silly like that, but I would bring it up.
Okay. So I would, if you're gung ho on this particular chart, I would suspect that selling the 30 in June and buying the 30 in July would be a nice calendar spread. It allows you to finance your position. It comes back a little bit. You get it a little bit cheaper than you would than going straight out on the 30. And if it um if it continues to move up after the month of June and it fades and then comes back to you, you can always sell what's left over in July as a spread, and it would end up being a free um it would be a free event for you. Now, you can also do the same thing if you think, hey, this is overdone. Um, I think our price action is going to fade. You can also sell something like, I don't know, where is everybody sitting? 24, so it's too far away. You could sell the 26s and buy the 26s, and it will give you a chance to be on the short side of this if you think it's overblown.
Okay. Okay, good stuff here. We got less than a minute. Any thoughts on Nvidia into earnings? I don't know if we necessarily need to build an entire trade because we've done it a lot for Nvidia, but if you have any thoughts on this leading into the print tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, I'm going to guess that the option sellers are going to win. And the reason for that is that we've got check this out. 90% implied vol, right? So they're looking for a $10 move. And so you're thinking to yourself, $10, that's nothing for Nvidia. So the question might be, why is volatility so compressed? Because maybe they've already baked in whatever news they think is getting baked in here, right? And so
Okay.
this would be better for a post earnings trade
Okay. You know
in my
what?
mind.
Guess what? We're going to do that on Friday.
Yep.
We're
Sounds great.
Okay, there you go. Really good stuff here. Anne-Marie, thanks for everything as always.
My pleasure.
Glad to have you back. Looking forward to Friday.
Yeah, me too.
All
All
right.
right, everybody. Take care.
That is Anne-Marie. Have a great rest of your week. And folks, the show doesn't stop here. It's time to send you over to Paul Meeks here today. So thanks everybody for joining us here today. Really good start to the week. We had a nice synthetic Monday here today on Tuesday. Have a great rest of your day. I'll send you over to Paul now. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe.